It's time for Shawn and Maya in the morning.
Quick pitch to Walter, looking for the record, cuts back, he's got it, he's out of it at 25 to the 26-yard line. Walter Payton becomes the National Football League all-time leading rusher. Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship. Chicago has won the Stanley Cup. Palmero over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it, go to Rizzo.
It's in time, and the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome, Shawn and Maya in the morning on this House Music Monday edition. I'm your boy, the Superback, Shawn Sierra. Thanks for tuning in. Whew, if you watch this on Facebook Live, well, then I guess you found us on Facebook. And if you're not following us on Facebook, whoa, what are you doing? All right, go to Facebook. Here, just go to Facebook. Type in SportsZone Chicago. Click the like button. You know, it's a thumbs up button, just like that. Click the thumbs up button, okay? And now you're following SportsZone Chicago, okay? Now, while you're there for a goof, why not? Go to Shawn and Maya in the morning. Go to that page too, as well as the SportsZone Chicago page. Go to the Shawn and Maya in the morning page like that as well. Now you're following not only the platform SportsZone Chicago, but also this show, Shawn and Maya in the morning. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, excellent. All right, and if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, what are you doing? All right, here, go to your YouTube channel. All right, go to YouTube. All right, go to YouTube, type in SportsZone Chicago, click the subscribe button. Click the subscribe button. Thank you. Tell them. Click the subscribe button. Okay, and now you're following SportsZone Chicago. Now, in addition to Shawn and Maya in the morning, you get 3 days a week. You get our other 5 live shows throughout the week. And they're all archived there. You can go back and check it whenever you want. Check it out and make sure, and, bring back stuff. But when I say, hey, I talked about this before, I talked about it last week, it's right there for you to say I wasn't bull jiving. Now, if you watch this on our app, that is even more excellenter. Okay? Now, if you haven't downloaded the app, whatever you're doing, stop what you're doing because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to. All right? Go to where do you get your apps from? iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Walmart, Kmart, 7-Eleven, White Hand, JCPenney, Zayre, Gold Blast. Where do you get your apps from? All right? Wherever you get them from, go there. Okay? Type in SportsZone Chicago. All right, download us. Take us with you on the go. So in addition to Shawn and Maya in the morning, 3 days a week, our other 5 live shows throughout the week, they're all in addition to the archives that are there all week, forever and ever and ever. Amen. You have a slew of articles that you can go and read all about sports, Chicago sports. Okay, that's awesome. Now, you can also tweet the show. You can tweet us at SportsZone Shy, that's CHI, at SportsZone Shy. Now, if you want to follow me, just me, personally online, you want to know what I did? Well, let me tell you what I did. You want to know what I did? Here's what I did. I made it nice and easy for you, folks. Nice and easy. One handle for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, the Snapper. All one handle at the Shawn Sierra. You see at the bottom of the screen. You want to follow my lovely co-host, Maya Kai. You can follow her on Facebook and Twitter at the Sports Chica. You want to follow her on Instagram because you do it just for the gram. Just follow her, Maya_Akai. It's MAYA_AKAI. I would be remiss if I didn't bring him out. He is a man that makes everything run smoothly here at SportsZone Chicago. He is my Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife. In some circles, he's known as PR Swiss. Ivan Vargas. Ivan, what's up, Papa? How are you?
I'm better. Can you hear me? First of all, can you hear me? Am I good?
Oh yeah.
All right. I've been better. I mean, I'm healthy wise. I feel good.
That's the most important thing.
I feel good health wise. My mental state of mind couldn't be more in flux. With what the hell is going on at Soldier Field. I mean, it's been that way for the past 2 years. You saw what happened yesterday, Shawn. And if you're out there and you weren't excited, if you weren't jumping out of your seat a little bit, you're lying. At least a little bit of excitement before reality started to set in there in the second half. I feel good. I hope you feel good. It's going to be a good show.
I'm excited, man. I am. Good to have you back. So no more ass out, Ivan. No more ass out with your hospital gown or your ass in, Ivan. Now, so your ass is back in some regular pants. Good to see you back at home with the family and running this show up here. Listen, guys, we have a phenomenal show, but we need you to get interactive. Man, look at this. We got people. We got our usual a star of the usual list of suspects. Armando Lara Jr. What's up, Papa? Good morning. Vernon Fairley. What's up, baby? Mashawn. What's up? Patty Ramos Lara. What's up? Hassan. What's up, baby? We got a whole bunch of people checking in. And you know what? I am it's gonna be a good show. It is gonna be a good show. I don't know if I can promise that I won't get fired up. All right, but if I do, I won't get fired up intentionally. Okay? Intentionally, I will not get fired up. Oh, damn. Who else? Luis Mejia. What's up, baby? He's back at it. He's another early morning guy. He likes to work out at 5:30 in the morning. I see you, Papa. I see you. So listen, we have a great show. So whatever platform you're watching this on, whether it be Facebook, either Shawn and Maya or SportsZone Chicago, whether it be a YouTube channel or whether it be our app, wherever you're watching this from, okay? Leave a question or comment right there on that particular platform. It'll come up here. And my super producer himself, Ask in Ivan. He'll be back. We'll put it up on the screen, and we will. And that's the best part about it, is getting your you being interactive with the show. Asking us questions, leaving comments. That makes it. That's what makes the show fun, exciting, and good. Listen, 10 o'clock. Well, first of all, let's not get it twisted. Joseph Phillips is going to come on at 9 o'clock, so he's going to be on for the first hour. At 10 o'clock, you have Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast. We're going to talk a lot of Bears with Lauren at 10 o'clock, so make sure you tune in then at 11 o'clock. Our guy, we haven't heard from him in a minute. We can't wait to get back with him. Darnell Mayberry from The Athletic going to call in. What the fudge crackers is going on over on the West Side? See, this is why I'm shit you not. This is why I think it's a conspiracy. I'm a conspiracy theorist. This is why. Okay, the Bulls they took everybody by storm, and everyone and NBA is like, whoa, we're not ready for the Bulls to be this good yet. They're screwing up all our plans. So we're gonna give them some bullshit ass positive COVID tests, get people out. Hopefully they lose games. And guess what? They're not losing games.
They want to
get not at the rate that, not against not at the rate that the NBA wants. So I just think it's bullshit. They're all vaccinated. So you're still catching it while you're vaccinated? Come on. I understand you can catch it. It's just not as severe. It's bullshit. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Let's argue. We're gonna argue this.
I'm as soon as it happened, I was like thinking the same thing, Shawn. You get LeBron bitching about it and he gets to go ahead and take 15, 20 some COVID tests until he passes. But you're over here locking down every single Bulls player that you can. Yes, it's kind of far-fetched, but it's not out of the norm for the NBA to do something shady. Let's just say that. It's not out of the norm for the NBA to do something shady. You could see how the Bulls' momentum was taking them forward. Like, you could see how they were growing. Even with the loss to Miami, Shawn, you were still like, they have 7 players out. And they were competing enough with Miami. I mean, they got blown out at the end, but they're competing with teams still, and they don't even have their full squad. I feel like if you're going to give a pass to LeBron, you should give every single one of those guys multiple COVID tests.
Whoa! Who are you? Are you Joseph? What's all this about?
When Joseph gets on, Joseph might have a field day too, so we got to be ready for.
Oh man! So Darnell Mayberry today at 11 o'clock talking Bulls, and we're gonna figure this shit out because I'm telling you what, this is bullshit. I just don't buy it. All right, all the players got COVID. All their star players got COVID. Come on, man.
Yeah, all the scorers got COVID. The guy that's probably a crazy front runner to be the MVP in DeMar DeRozan, he gets COVID. Then come on, man. All the scorers.
This, and they're like, okay, we can leave Vooch there because without all the scorers, no one can get him the ball. So this is I don't know, man. I don't know. And truth be told, I have no concrete evidence. This is just how I feel. All opinions are mine and mine alone, and they express my opinions. That's what my opinions represent. They represent me, damn it. Me. Me. Damn it. So, you know what? We'll wait. We'll hold off till 11 o'clock to talk to Dar. Actually, we'll talk about it a little bit beforehand, but wow. I'm telling you, it has. It really has, Luis. It's gone too far. You know. Hey, look for be on the lookout for an ad in the Chicago Sun-Times and the Trib. Anybody who wants to come and play for the Bulls for 10 days, they're having tryouts. All right, because they're gonna have all 12 people, all 13 people in COVID, and they're gonna need people.
They already had Candace Parker warming up.
I wouldn't.
Candace was warming up. They had a couple of the Sky Girls warming up. They got to get somebody out there.
And be careful if Candace makes it because she'll get COVID too because she can score. So never mind.
Yeah, let's put a bunch of defenders out there. They'll be all right. It's COVID all the scores.
Defenders, big guys who need the ball passed. If you need the ball dumped into them, who can't. Yeah. None of the scores. This is crazy. Hassam, you're right. They don't want the lunch and pail hard hat team contending only superstar Hollywood little sissies. All right. Yeah. All right. You got me going. But anyway, 11 o'clock, Darnell Mayberry. So, man, we have a phenomenal show for you. And you know what? That's why we want you to get interactive. We want you to leave our comments. Because Lewis is like, it's gone too far already. Lewis is like, what? For real? You know what? What other thing could there be? You know, it's just like, here's this. The Bulls are so far ahead of where everybody thought they would be. Everybody thought they're so far ahead of that. And they're like, whoa. Let me check their record. I didn't do that beforehand, so pardon moi. But let me check their record so we can see exactly where they're at. Right now, the Bulls in the East. Brooklyn's 19-8. Okay. The Bulls are 18-10. Okay. They play tomorrow, Detroit. Hopefully they should get that one at a time.
They're one game behind the Milwaukee Bucks right now. So it's like it's Nets, Bucks, Bulls from the standings I'm looking at.
Okay.
Nets, Bucks, Bulls, Heat, Cavs. Top 5.
Okay. What do the Bucks have as far as wins?
Oh, they have 18-10.
18.
They're 18.
They're 18-10. The Bulls that's what I looked at. My mistake. Bulls are 17-10. Bulls are 17-10. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's still not bad. Yeah, they want the Milwaukee. Milwaukee already won it, so it's okay for them to be up there. All this other nonsense. That's funny. Can Brittany Griner try out for the Bulls? Vernon.
Hey, she's a goon out there, man. I'm not gonna lie. She's a goon.
Yeah, but her and her girlfriend. What's the deal? Because that might have to be a package deal.
You got to bring them both. No. There's no love affair on the Bulls. Hey, no. We don't need no love affair messing around with the mojo that's going on at the UC right now.
Sorry, Brittany.
Yeah, sorry, Brittany. Armando brought up something that I forgot about because it's early in the morning and I was just like scrambling to wake up. And Shawn's texting me. It's like 10 minutes till. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the bed. Like, let me go ahead and get up and do something with my life. But no, there was a woman all decked out. She had the Bears makeup on. She had a Bears she had a bear head. It looked like a whole bear suit on, right? And they're playing jump around as we're getting our asses whooped 45 to 27. And she's just smiling. Like she's on camera smiling heavily. I'm like, you piece of crap. You piece of crap fan. Get her the fuck out of here. Because there's no way I'm going to be jumping around smiling up at Lambeau Field while the Green Bay Packers are whooping my team's ass. It just doesn't make sense. She must have been drunk out of her mind. It was embarrassing to see that on national television while we're getting our ass kicked. Sorry. Just embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I feel you. You know, and here's the only thing I can say to that. She was enjoying the experience. You know, I personally trust me. it'd be a cold day. Hell would have to freeze over, and it did a couple times last year
It's
with
hard.
the polar
It's hard to
vortex.
defend. It's hard to defend it. It's hard to defend it.
Yeah, I I'd rather, you know what? If I wanted to do that, I'd rather go to a Wisconsin game and jump around. Okay, I'd go to University of Wisconsin game and jump around, not a Green Bay Packer Chicago Bears game, and we're getting our ass kicked. That just wouldn't happen for me. I get it. That might be your only chance to get up there. Lambeau's a historic place to watch a game. She
Drunk.
got caught in the moment.
I'll just say she was drunk. I'm just gonna
She's
give her the
drunk. Okay,
she's drunk. She's just
okay.
drunk.
Yes, and she was drunk. She had a few to help keep her warm. Although it wasn't too bad yesterday.
She thought it was the first half still. That's what it was.
Although it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too cold out there yesterday. It was like 40s, maybe 30. So it wasn't too bad. And I'm sure the pre-game beverages definitely helped. But yeah, dude, come on, hon. I wouldn't be. They're just jamming all over the place. Come on. Anyway. Got over before you get me fired up. Anyway, conspiracy Monday, right? Yeah. She was a McCaskey plant. That's good stuff, Hassan. Good stuff.
She's just jumping around. Nothing's bad here. Nothing's wrong here, guys. Nothing to see.
Hey, well, guys, you know how we do with the first segment of every show. Every show is called Top of the Morning.
Just when you want it. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you.
And the top of the morning segment, he should be hopping on any second. So we're gonna keep going until Joe gets hops on. But the first top of the morning topic was, you know what it is? The Bears lose to the Packers 45-30 yesterday, Sunday night. I will say this. They didn't embarrass themselves as much as I thought they would. As much as I hoped that they would. And you know what? We had Phil on, our guy. Shout out to Phil Atoshin from the Tape Never Lies Network. And he says he never roots against the Bears. And that's cool. I really wasn't rooting for the Bears. I was rooting for them to do really, really poorly. Like I wasn't rooting for them to do bad. I was rooting for them to do poorly. I wasn't rooting for Green Bay. Trust me, I would never root for, unless it's for a playoff spot. That's the only time that I'll root for whoever's not playing Green Bay. Long story short, but I think an embarrassing loss is one of the few things that could stimulate change before the end of the season. If it wasn't for that first half yesterday, you know what? If people say, and I don't know how well Green Bay would have done, but it woke Green Bay up. Okay. I don't know if Green Bay would have came on as strong as they did in the second half. It's tough. It played out the way it did. This just came across. Ivan, Alizé Johnson becomes the 10th Chicago player in COVID protocol.
Are you serious, bro? Dude, no way. No. I'm sorry.
Just came across.
You go ahead and retest everybody right now, because it just doesn't make sense. If LeBron had 5-7 tests, and he's like, oh, they all started coming back. Dude, start taking extra tests. Start seeing if it's for real or not. This is ridiculous.
He is the 10th person, the 10th Chicago Bull in the COVID protocol. We'll get into that more. Definitely at 11 o'clock.
They're all vaxxed. They're all vaxxed. It's what blows my It's what blows my mind is that they're all vaxxed and they're still trying to make some type of an excuse as to why it's getting passed around. The vaccine only lessens the pain. That this is CDC said. This isn't me just spitting off my bullshit. It only lessens the pain. What are you going to continue to do? What is this going to do for them other than stop the Bulls' production?
This is insane. I honestly, Mashawn, what's up, Papa? How are you? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I don't know. This is 10 Bulls players. And not only Bulls players, broadcasters. Stacey Keegan, Bill Weddington is also have COVID. Come on, man. Something's gotta give here. Something's got to give here. But let's check this out. The first top of the morning topic: the Bears lose to the Packers 45-30 up in Lambeau Field yesterday. Justin Fields showed some flashes. Okay. He was 18 of 33, 224 yards, 2 tutties, 2 picks, 1 pick six, 2 sacks, and a 70.8 rating. David Montgomery, here's where I'm going to start to have a fucking fit. David Montgomery, 10 carries, 42 yards. One. Can you see how many? One carry in the second half. Bulls were leading 27-24. 1 carry in the second half for David Montgomery. He had 6 catches for 39 yards. Demir Bird, 2 catches, 76 yards, and a nice tutty. Although that was a handoff. So because it was a forward handoff, is why I got called a pass. A reception, I should say. Jameer Grant, he had 1 catch, 46 yards for the tutty, which was nice. Allen Robinson continues to go into oblivion.
I think you might have switched them up. I think Bird Grant had the shovel pass. Bird had the 47-yarder, I believe. He had the Texas route out of the backfield. Demir Bird came out of the backfield, beat 41 across his face on the slant, and then just took off. The shovel pass was Jameer Grant that we thought was a run.
Oh, yes. I did mix those up. I read it wrong. Allen Robinson continues to go into obscurity. 2 catches, 14 yards. I'll tell you what, he can't wait to hit free agency. He can because his numbers are his production is so piss poor, but he can't because he wants to get with a team, someone who's going to throw him the ball. Unfortunately for him, he was injured. Unfortunately, he didn't build any rapport with Justin Fields. It's just tough. And on the flip side, Aaron Rodgers, 29 of 37, 341 yards. Okay, 4 touchdowns, a 141.1 rating. Devontae Adams, 10 catches, a $121, 2 tutties. The majority of these came in the second half. Okay, the one before the one at the end of the first half was a backbreaker. Alan Lazard, teammates with David Montgomery at Iowa State. He had 6 catches, 75 yards, and a tutty. This was some of the stuff that really got me. You hear Matt Nagy talking, at halftime, and he's saying, "Oh yeah, this is fun." I'm like, come on, dude. He sounded like a kid in a candy store. He sounded like he was just happy to be there, And the thing about it is, if you follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and make sure you do at the Shawn Sierra, both platforms. I said, I cannot wait. I'll read it specifically, so I don't misquote myself. What I said, here it is. This is what I said after the first half. So let's get ready for the lack of adjustments from the Bears for this second half. Green Bay comes back for the win, is what I said. Sure enough, you're leading 27-24 at half, and you give David Montgomery 1 carry. 1 carry. Your workhorse. You have the lead. And you give him 1 carry. Okay? I knew at that particular point, once they went to half, I knew Aaron Rodgers was going to come out. I knew because they were getting the ball to start the second half. And I said, son of a biscuit. I said, watch these guys go down and score. What do? Go down and score. Then the next Bears' first drive, they fumble. That's wonderful. So then they fumble, and guess what? Green Bay goes in and scores again. So 2 possessions, 2 tutties. That was it. That was the ball game. So you know what? It was frustrating. It was frustrating at times. Again, part of me wanted the Bears to do really poorly because I really wanted to them to get embarrassed. I really want this regime gone. I really want this head coach gone. And unfortunately, the front office really loves Matt Nagy. I mean, Ryan Pace. They really love Ryan Pace. Love him. So what might happen? He might get fired up. They might move Ted to just business, Ryan Pace to head of football operations, and then have Ryan Pace hire a general manager, and then probably fire Nagy. If that's what happens, as long see, we don't have a first round pick this year because we traded that for Justin Fields, and I'm okay with that. I'm more than okay with that. Okay, but is that hopefully a new GM will say, hey, listen, you suck at first round picks. Okay, Ryan Pace, you suck at first round picks. Let me do this. I'll take your input, but let me do this. Okay, your first 3 first round picks are no longer with the team. Kevin White, Leonard Floyd, Mitch Trubisky. None of them lived to see their 5th year on this team. None of them. If that isn't a scathing indictment, and I know you found guys in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th rounds, and that's great, but you can't miss on those first rounds. You just can't.
It's like high school out there.
You just can't continue. 3 out of 4. 75% of your first round picks are no longer with the team. But listen, I'm going to bring in, before I get fired up, let me bring in a guy. He is our boy. He's our guy. He's your guy. He's the guy. He's the one you find on Twitter at ACA Joe. I don't know. He's looking like Carmen Sandiego's significant other. What the hell's all that about? Joseph Phillips. Joseph, what's up, Papa?
What's up, Papa? God bless.
You ready for a photo shoot? You chilling, laying down?
This is like an album cover from the 80s.
For real. Seriously. You just need the smoky background. What the hell?
No, man. This is some crazy, man. This is how the Bears got me right now. I'm just like laying down, actually. But at the end of the day, my Bears, boy, they know how to stick it to you. They get you all pumped up. They get you all hyped. And then suddenly they just drop you off the cliff. With no one to catch you.
But you had to know, Joseph, that it was, that it wasn't going to last. They haven't put together one good quarter. They barely put together one good quarter. For them to put together 2 strong quarters, you thought it was going to last? I knew it wouldn't. And then plus Aaron Rodgers was going to be like, you know what? These are the Bears. It's like when you're playing your little brother and he hits those first 2 shots on you, you're like, oh, somebody thinking they're a big boy now. And then you come out, you're like, poof, poof, get that out of here. Get that out of here. Get that out of here. And you don't get a shot off. That's exactly what Aaron Rodgers did to us in the second half. He didn't let us get a shot off and, frustrated the hell out of us.
The Bears was getting beat so bad. I think we saw 2 Aaron Rodgers last night. I saw one in the crowd.
That dude was funny. The doppelganger, that was funny. That was really funny.
Man. It was so bad, man. They had the Bears fans cheering, doing the wave with the Green Bay Packers fans.
Yeah, doing a jump around thing. Yeah, that was like. And I told Ivan, and we got to take a quick break. But I told Ivan, like, you know what? I was like, the only thing I could do it is just maybe she was drunk, or maybe she just was caught up in the experience. Maybe that was it. She was caught up in the experience. I don't know. But
it was a Wrigley moment.
It was. Hey, listen, let's take a quick break, and then, well, no, you want us to keep going? Okay. We'll keep going. I was friendly, like, no.
I was like, get the segment done.
So that lady, like I said, I just think she was caught up in the moment. Maybe she liked that song. I don't know. It just, and then they caught her. They're looking for it. And let me ask one other thing. It is, since when did they have the Packers home team broadcasting the game? Because those dudes were all over Aaron Rodgers' jock yesterday. They're like, Aaron Rodgers can walk on water. Did you see that? Aaron Rodgers, look at, there's two of them. This is why he's so good. It reminded me like Bad Boys 2. You know what I mean?
Hey, it was so bad yesterday, man. Like that was compared to the Puncho lady from last week. Remember Spice Adams was like mocking her on his video? Like she couldn't get her punch over her head.
Poncho? Yeah. That's...
We're in trouble, man. We are in trouble. And I said that last night. I said, babe, we have the whole brass in the building. You got the McCaskies there. You got Ryan Pace there. You had Matt Nagy was there.
Was he?
I don't know who invited him.
Oh yeah, because he was calling those stupid ass plays. That's right. That's how we knew. That's how we knew Matt Nagy was
We
there.
didn't roll out Justin Fields not once yesterday. I didn't see him roll Justin Fields out one time yesterday, and they continued to use him as target practice. Every time he was in the shotgun, every time he was behind center, they were just pretty much teeing off of him. Most of his interceptions came because Matt Nagy decided, hey, I'm not going to roll this kid out. I'm going to make him a robot. He's going to be my Andy Dalton. I'm not going to roll him out. He's not fast enough. And if he's going to run, he's going to have to run from within the shotgun after going 10 yards back and throwing the ball. That's a problem at the end of the day.
To me, the problem was the lack of the run game. Their refusal to stick with the run. David Montgomery had one carry in the second half. And I know you're only up 3, but you're still up, and you can still take time off the clock. It was a situation where you went away with what got you there, and you get why he's so damn averse to the run. And yesterday he was calling plays because with a big game like that, you're not going to allow Bill Lazor to call plays, because that would take the shine. Because if you did well, which they did for a while, if you did well, Matt Nagy wouldn't get the credit. So this one, he wanted to call. I believe he called most of the game yesterday, and it's frustrating. But you know what? Let's take a quick break. And the other side of the break, we'll finish up with Little Bears, and then we got some more top of the morning. That's freaking hilarious. Ivan, that's awesome. That's awesome. Listen, keep it locked here. We got more top of the morning topics, so don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning at SportsZone Chicago on this House Music Monday edition. We're still in the first top of the morning topic. That's the Bears. This was it wasn't as embarrassing as I wanted it to be, Joseph, and the only reason I wanted it to be embarrassing because I really wanted the front office and the brass to really be forced to make a change. I really was and don't get me wrong, I was happy Okay, I was happy that the Bears were able to do something, but not yesterday. I didn't want it yesterday. You know what? Do it last week. Do it next week. Okay, but the Green Bay Packers, there's a greater sense of urgency when you play the Packers because they were our rivals, so they just made it one-sided rivalry. But something like that on national TV, like it was yesterday, an embarrassment would have forced them to do something. And it wasn't as embarrassing as I thought. Don't get me wrong, 15 points is still 15 points that they lost by. But, you know, the punt return for a touchdown, you take that away. Now we're looking at 21, 22 points. Yeah, that's a little more what I'm looking, what I was wanting. But they're there, Joseph. Hopefully they decide to make a change. I don't know if they will.
Well, I guess this is the Bears' way of playing their hardest for Matt Nagy, saying thanks for nothing, I guess. Because at the end of the day, like every time I saw Matt Nagy's face, I was just thinking of a joke. You know, like Matt Nagy's head's so big, he just can't make the right calls. Like it was just ridiculous, man. Every time I saw his face on the screen, I was just thinking of a joke that I can think of. I was just like, man, I can't take this anymore. I'm out of jokes for Matt Nagy. It's time for him to go.
Him talking about, oh, this was fun at halftime.
Right.
This is the part that I thought, like, where the fun part is winning.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, the game, the process is the fun part. But when you know that you're winless against Green Bay in Green Bay, okay, you have a horrible record with coming out of halftime, coming off of bye weeks. Anytime you get a chance to prepare and regroup, you have a horrible record. Why was this fun to him? Okay,
right.
It sounded to me like he already knows his fate, that he's resigned to it. I think, and I think if he does stay all the last 4 games, it's going to be because they said they made him that promise and said, hey, listen, we'll at the end of the year we won't fire you, mid-season. I think they'll do it at the end of the year. It just sounds like he's already resigned to that fate, and I don't know. It should have been last year, but it should have been earlier this season. But for Matt Nagy, I don't know. It's just something about that whole situation, Joseph. It has me befuddled because he's not as uncomfortable, okay, as I would anticipate a person who's on the hot seat to be.
Right. He's actually pretty comfortable. He's the most comfortable guy I've seen on the hot seat in a long time. He's almost like, I don't care if I get fired because I'm not getting fired. So fans, whether you fire me in your head or not, according to ownership, I'm not going anywhere. This is very similar to Garpax's situation where we saw the arrogance of losing on their face. Like I remember the time I was walking through the United Center and Gar Foreman looked at me as if I was supposed to be like, hey, Mr. Foreman, thanks for all the hard work you've done. No. Why are you walking in public? Okay? You're supposed to be hiding somewhere. And then
no, because then we'll get on him for hiding, like John McDonough and the Blackhawks, former Blackhawks dude.
Well, okay, I know McDonough. I know his reason for hiding. But it came out this year. But at the end of the day, what happened with that kick, Shawn? When they kicked the ball on the punt and the guy, like, it bounced off the guy's chest, and then they lied and said that one of our guys purposely ran out of bounds when I actually saw a Green Bay Packer escorting him out of bounds along with his momentum. And then it was another situation where we kicked the ball onside, and then guess what? For some reason they didn't count the score. So I'm just like,
well, it's not about for some reason, Joseph. It's the rule. That's the rule. The rule is you can't advance a muff. You can't advance an onside kick. You can't advance those things. Those are rules.
Forward fumble.
So you can't advance those. So, that rule needs to be changed because of the situation like that. And it'll probably be changed this year because you see exactly the way it happened yesterday. that could change a game, as it could have changed the game yesterday. I don't think it would have changed it much. It just would have decreased the difference in the loss. But who knows? It could have sparked us something to do something. But that rule has to be changed. You can't advance those, and that really sucks. It really, really sucks, because you saw very rarely does it happen, Joseph. Very rarely will you be able to pick it up and go, get it in stride and keep going. You know what I'm saying? But yesterday was a perfect example of it working in our favor to get that ball and advance it, and
what happened
because
on
of the
the
rule.
4th and inches? What happened on the 4th and inches?
On 4th and inches, Matt Nagy was being an idiot, and we're down 3. What are we, 3-9? And says, you know what? Let's punt.
Yeah.
But you got 4th and inches. Okay, give it to David Montgomery. Give it to Justin Fields on a quarterback sneak. Give me a freaking stupid ass tight end reversal, something to show me. Even that says, okay, we're at least you have the balls to go for it. I got nothing to lose. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for it, and you punt. All right, then you want to go. Then you kick the field goal late in the game. I'm like, what was the spread on that? That's the only reason I. That was the only
Kick the field goal to say fair. Yeah, kick the field goal to say you reached 30 points. That's what it was, Shawn. That's what it was. Little milestones for Matt Nagy. Little milestones for Matt Nagy. I agree with majority of what Shawn said, except for the penalty. The penalty, even if he does go right out of bounds, you see how the defender's walling him off. I know you have to fight through, but he goes out of bounds, fights back in bounds, and then is being blocked for about 15 to 20 yards downfield in bounds.
All right,
in bounds. When does he reestablish himself? And when he immediately comes back in, or 20 yards downfield? Like, it doesn't make sense to why they called the penalty. I understand the penalty, but why they said that he didn't fight his way back in bounds, and he stood out there, he stood out there a couple, like less than a few seconds. It felt like watching it. It looked. Go ahead.
It was the penalty. The penalty was that he voluntarily ran out of bounds. So he came back in, but he voluntarily, and he did. Dude, it looked like someone took his money or called his mama a hoe from the sideline on the snap of the ball. He turned and ran to the. I'm like, what are you doing? He ran to the sideline, and then he comes back out. He took 2 steps out of bounds, I believe, then came back in. The penalty was he voluntarily ran out of bounds. It wasn't that he didn't try to get back in. It wasn't that. It was that he voluntarily. And I saw him like, dude, what are you doing? Like, it's.
I saw that.
I thought he was trying to get around the edge. My bad. I thought he was trying to get around the edge, and you had the defender Rasul Douglas just not letting him get around the edge. Like that's how I said. Just because your hands are out in the air doesn't mean my body can't force you to go where I want it to go.
Right. That was a good play on him. That was a good play by Rasul Douglas. Okay, understanding that, and again, here's coaching. Here's fucking coaching. That if you try to go around me out of bounds, guess what? You intentionally, went out of bounds. Okay, he didn't push you out of bounds. He guided you. If you wanted to go that way, you could. But his job at that point was to stop and go back into the double team that was there. Great job by Rasul Douglas. Okay, this is coaching. This is coaching. When you do that, okay, to force that. So now that guy, now they're getting a penalty regardless. Okay, and the guy's probably not going to make the tackle. So what it is they got out coached again. Okay, when you voluntarily go out of bounds, because even though the guy's foot's on the defense can put his foot on the sideline. He can put his foot out of bounds. He can do that. They can, like in basketball, Joseph, when you're going to play in defense and he's trying to go baseline, what do they tell you? Put your foot out of bounds or put your foot on the end line. So he can't get around you on the baseline, right? That's what he did. That's exactly what he did. That's what and Kendall Vildor went out of bounds, came right back in. I think I said it took 2 steps. It came right back in, but the voluntarily going out of bounds part, that was the penalty. That was what happened. And that's where coaching comes in, where you say, hey, you cannot do that, Kendall.
Well, here's the deal. This is the consequence of just a bad football team, man. Because even the stuff that looks right is wrong. The Bears are so bad. Like, I'm starting to see things that I've never seen before on a football field called. Like, I wouldn't even known that was in the rule book if the Bears didn't do it. You see what I mean? Like, I'm learning a lot about football just watching how horrible the Bears are. I'm seeing so many penalties. I'm seeing so many calls that I've never seen before in my life, not even from the bad teams from the 90s. Like, some of these calls that I'm seeing, I'm like, man, how are these calls possible? I've never seen this before. Like, I'm learning so much, Sean, just from watching this. And then last, I really feel sorry for Justin Fields because right now, I think the Bears are just messing his potential up. Like they're messing his game up. I mean, like he's staring guys down across the middle, and you got the corners of the Packers watching him. And then last, these referees, man, like that black ref with those glasses on last night in the first half is how you're supposed to call the game. Okay. They called the game the right way. They didn't let Green Bay get away with bogus cheating calls. Because it was a couple of times when Adams was looking for pass interference and Jalen Johnson did a good job on locking him down. Then the second half came, and here come the yellow flags. In addition to the Bears' low IQ playing. So that was a perfect storm for the Bears, and the rest was history. We ended up losing, what was that, 45-30, or was it 48?
45-30.
15 points. Oh, the kill goal, we could have lost by 18, but thanks to Matt Nagy, he made it 15.
It was it was frustrating. Hopefully it really forces them to do something. I don't think it will, but we can always hope. Let's move on to the next top of the morning topics. 10. Because I had in my notes, I had 9. I was like, 9 times, Mrs. Bueller. Your son's been absent from school 9 times. And now after it just came across the wire on after we started the show, Alizé Johnson becomes the 10th Chicago Bull in the COVID health and NBA's health and safety protocol because of COVID.
Sean, it's a conspiracy.
Dude, Joseph, you know what? I always think a lot of times I think you're full of nonsense, but I said that I'm a conspiracy theorist to begin with. But I said this is what it is. And give me your reasons, Joseph. Give me your reasons on why you think, and I'll tell you what mine were.
All right, here we go, man. All right, so here's the deal. I'm not talking about the Bears, Southside Bears. I'm talking about the Bulls. But at the end of the day, once DeMar DeRozan was named the Eastern Conference Player of the Week, guess what? Adam Silver was like, oh, you guys are going to continue to win while my little brat son, LeBron James, continue to lose?
There it is.
Okay.
There it is.
Watch this. Oh, guess who's going to the COVID list today with a false positive? DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan was perfectly healthy. He had no symptoms, okay? And then if you ever, I hope Ivan can pull up the video or some type of photo of the testing guy. He looks like some sleazeball off the Blues Brothers. Have you ever seen him? The guy who did LeBron James test?
No, I didn't see it.
Bro, I wouldn't trust him to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for me, okay? His hands look filthy. His shirt looked dirty. And he just looked like a sleazeball.
Okay, real quick, but hold on. Grape or strawberry? Jelly.
Strawberry.
Get off. I
moved on from grape. I was in the hood when I ate grape, but once I got bigger, I started eating strawberry. My mom started introducing me to preserves with the strawberries in them. But anyway, we moved up a little bit. But at the end of the day, after DeMar went down, it was like, oh, you still going to keep winning without DeMar? We're taking down 3 more of your guys. And then the following day, here's another guy. We're going to turn you guys into a G League team. We're about to take you back to 2020 and 2019. We're going to make you the Bulls of old. And by the time we finish with you, you guys are going to drop from second place, almost being in first place, to 7th or 8th place by the time we finish with you. Bottom line.
Well, I think, this is what really bugs me. First, they're all vaccinated, which bugs me. Okay. And I understand that you can still catch the virus if you're vaccinated. Okay. Then these guys shouldn't be gone very long then. All right. Then they should be able to have as soon as they have a test and then another test within 24 hours, they should be able to come back. All right. And my thought was this. Okay. Okay. And I am a conspiracy theorist, but all kidding aside, here's what I think. I think that they were really surprised at the way that the Bulls were gelling. They were really surprised at the way the Bulls were winning. They were really surprised at the way the Bulls looked because remember Kobe White was out. Okay, a couple of Vooch was out. A lot of the Alex Caruso, and these were injuries. Okay, I mean Vooch was COVID, but so you're out with guys with injuries, you're out with guys, and all of a sudden they're still winning, and to get these guys back, I don't think the NBA was ready for this team to be this good this soon.
Right.
And I think I think they have a master plan. Obviously they love the Lakers because it's the second biggest market in the country. They love the Brooklyn Nets and the Knicks the way that they're playing. That's the number one market in the country. Okay, and we're the third largest market in the country. But things are good when the Knicks and the New York teams are good and the LA teams are good. I think that they're going to turn over the apple cart with the way that they kept winning, with the way that they kept performing, and they're only getting better.
Right.
I don't think the NBA wants that just yet. I think maybe next year they'll be okay with it, but I think right now, okay, and good point, Rashad. I think all leagues have teams they want to succeed for money reasons. Hey, you know what? Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, y'all. And remember, this is a league. They're here to make money. And if they have to skew certain things in order for them to make money, they have no problem doing it. And I think that's exactly what's happening to the Bulls. And I don't know. I think that's what's happening to the Bulls. That's my personal opinion. As I said, my opinions reflect me and they represent me.
Shawn, don't be ashamed, Shawn, to go to the side of conspiracy.
Because dude, I've always been a conspiracy theorist, dude.
Trying to call you crazy for calling out basic things. Like, just like one of the guys said, I was listening to a sermon the other day. He was just saying, hey, man, he's trying to tell these young guys, the game is different than it was when I used to watch it. Okay? And that goes for the NFL and the NBA. In the NFL, you can't even touch a quarterback anymore. I mean, they're putting panties on everything, bro. Like you can't go near a guy. Okay. And then in the NBA, these guys want to proclaim themselves to be the greatest and all this and all of that. And as soon as they get touched, they run in to tell mama. Okay. Bottom line is that the physicality is not there anymore. The narratives are being controlled more and more by the executives. I mean, they were controlling the narrative in the 90s, but this is so sloppy now. They have their hands actually on the players now. They're manipulating results. They're manipulating standings. They're manipulating outcomes. And when it gets to that point, corruption is at its highest level right now.
But people don't realize this, Joseph. You remember back in the day, and they're talking a little more about it now, but no one, they make moves and no one asks the obvious questions.
Right.
Okay. So remember when the Chris Paul trade didn't go through? Why didn't to the Lakers? Why didn't it go through? It was a trade. The numbers lined up, everything lined up. There was no reason as to why that trade should not have happened.
And Kobe would have had eight or nine. Kobe would have had 8 or 9 championships with Chris Paul on that team.
And so, Ivan, can I add this to another thing why they're coming at the Bulls? First of all, they didn't find anything in that investigation. Okay, they was like, "Hey, we can't find anything, so we got to make ourselves look a little."
You're right, Lewis. You're right.
Make a little legit by finding them a second-round pick or an irrelevant second-round pick in 2026. But what other way can we get them back and pay them back for trying to compete? Because we want to get rid of the image of Michael Jordan. We don't want to hear about the Bulls. We're trying to get away from Michael Jordan because no one has fulfilled his.
Because this is supposed to be LeBron's end. Yeah, this is supposed to be LeBron's end.
The biggest conspiracy of them all. It says, why make them wait to take away a second round pick? Well, all we got to do is penalize them with some false positive COVID tests from a Walgreens store. Bottom line is this. Think, baby. Think. It's right in front of your face. It's a conspiracy, man. And the league has been doing this for years. It's just a fraud. Just like that McBubble championship that LeBron got, that Mickey Mouse ring in the bubble. It's the same way.
Well, hey, I think it was always meant to be Brooklyn against LA. I think that's how the NBA wanted it this season. Kyrie obviously is a monkey, is a wrench in that whole machine. So I feel like what the NBA is going to try to do is what Joseph said: punish the Bulls for doing for trying to compete. But at the same time, you're keeping the Bulls down just far enough to where they don't get a number 1 seed. They have to play a tougher team. You know what I'm saying? Go headed into the playoffs. That's how I see the NBA trying to protect the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks and the teams that they already solidified as, hey, these are going to be the guys moving forward. You got a Giannis in Milwaukee. You know what I mean? He's out. I mean, Giannis is just amazing, but you have a superstar in Milwaukee. You have 3 superstars in New York. That's what you want. You want Giannis versus the big. You want the David versus Goliath in the playoffs. The Bulls are just a problem you don't want to deal with right now. So let's go ahead and just try to
They wasn't invited to the party. They wasn't invited to the party.
Right.
But here's the issue: is that, and this goes to what I've said before. Billy Donovan has a phenomenal ability to make the sum greater than the parts. And the parts that we have are much better and more talented than we've had in the past. So this sum that he's going to get is going to be a lot better than most people anticipated. And truth be told, I don't give a damn. We've already shown New York that we can beat the hell out of them. All right, with their physical play and their tough style of defense, we've already shown we've beaten them twice. Brooklyn, we haven't beaten them with Kyrie, but we've beaten them too. So we've already in New York, in Brooklyn, at the Barclays Center.
Can I say something?
No, hold on. So they understand. So the NBA sees like, oh shit, they beat here. So all we need to do is go up to Milwaukee and play Giannis, beat Giannis, and now the NBA is really going to be scared because you beat the two top teams that you want in the East, Brooklyn and Milwaukee, at home at their place. The NBA will be really pissed because they're not ready for this Bulls team, but they should start embracing this Bulls team and start hyping up DeMar Rosen, start hyping up Zach LaVine, start giving those guys the superstar calls because it's transitioning. Those guys, just like remember when Golden State came out, no one knew Golden State wasn't Golden State before they were Golden State. Nobody knew who the hell they were. You knew Steph was the son of Dell. You knew his Clay had a brother who played baseball for the Sox. You didn't know about all that. You didn't know who they were. All of a sudden, you started putting more focus on them, giving them more hype, giving them some calls. Start giving these guys calls, okay? It'll help your brand, NBA, because Chicago is a mecca for basketball. And I know New York is a bigger market, more people. I know LA is more people, but I'll tell you, one of the strongest fan bases is the Bulls. Okay, we've been dying since 1998. It's 20 plus years since we've been able to get back to the finals. And you don't think that this city, this area, and Bulls fans across the country will go nuts if the Bulls get to the NBA finals? You're kidding yourself, because there'll be at least 5 million people watching in Chicago, the Chicagoland area, if the Bulls get to the finals, just from Chicago alone.
The Bulls players like LaVine and some of the fouls that aren't being called. It reminds me of like how Justin Fields is being treated. Like Justin Fields is any other athletic quarterback that decides that they could, hey, I can run
athletic quarterback, I can hit somebody.
Big, right? Big athletic quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, they'll mistreat them. They'll treat them differently than they do the smaller, more prototypical pocket passers. That's how I feel like it's kind of the same way. They're picking and choosing when they want to go ahead and give the Bulls some fouls and give them some leeway. It just feels like they're handcuffed at times.
They always give us the lady referee on our end. Just watch the games. They put the men referees down on one end for the other team, and they call all the fouls on us. And then when we go on this end, the women just looked at us like, oh, I didn't see anything. And then we go run back on the other end, and they call a foul. I don't like what is going on. Last, I want to say this. These COVID vaccines are a fraud, okay? At the end of the day, these people are coming out lying to people, telling people, oh, these vaccines are going to protect you and all this foolishness. Guess what, my son? Let me tell you something. Yes, you've been vaccinated, but it doesn't protect you from COVID, period. At the end of the day, and I know that the government is not going to like what I'm saying, okay? But at the end of the day, okay, why are all these positive tests coming up? Okay, you're getting more COVID than you had before you were actually vaccinated.
That's a good.
So what's the problem?
That's a good. That's a.
So someone's lying. The NBA needs to get their stuff
Well,
together.
here's the, Joseph. It's easier for them to use now that I believe it's easier for them to control the narrative and control the outcome by this. It's my, you know what I mean? Now because you can control how many people come up with these positive tests. You can control, as we see, the Bulls have 10. Okay, so you can control that, and in essence, kind of control their win percentage. But what's going to happen is at the end of the year when so for the next 30, 60 to 90 days, they're the safest people to be around because apparently you couldn't be able to get it because in those 30, 60 to 90 days. So if that's the case, guess what? In these next 3 months and the Bulls get back together and they're all healthy, you better watch out. The Bulls might end up with a number. I was saying 3 or 4 seed. The Bulls might end up as a number 1 or number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. No bullshit. No bullshit.
The league continue to drug them up with booster shots, unnecessary booster shots, and Flintstone vitamins.
Well, listen, Joseph, go ahead, finish up because we got to go.
Bottom line is this: stop lying to the American people. These vaccines are a piece of trash, and you know it is. And you continue to force these people to get these vaccines that don't even work.
We're talking basketball. We're not talking American people. Joseph, we'll see you on Wednesday, brother. All right?
Later, Joe.
Peace out.
All right. And listen, we got to take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, of conspiracy theories, we're going to talk to our guy, Lauren Cox. We haven't talked to him in a minute. We got a lot of talking to do about this nonsense with the Green Bay Packers. Why the hell do they always get the calls in the second half? This is ridiculous. More Chicago Bear talk. So make sure you take your Tums. Okay, right before or during the break. Make sure you take your Tums. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
It's a romance sport. What? It's a romance sport. Yeah. It's a romance sport. Yeah, it's a romance sport like that. This one going out.
Hey, this is Gary Payton, and we listen to Shawn and Maya in the morning. Do that.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning at SportsZone Chicago. Just got done with the top of the morning segment with our guy Joseph Phillips, and quite interesting. Quite interesting. You know what? We could talk about that later. It was a little a little frustrating with this whole Bears thing, but and Bulls thing. But we'll get back to that when we talk to Darnell Mayberry at the top of the hour at 11:00. But our next guest, good to have him back, man. It's been a minute. We have a lot to talk about. You can find him on Twitter at Cox Sports One. That's like Fox Sports One with a C. He's the host of the Locked On Bears podcast. Guys, let's welcome back to Shawn and Maya, Lauren Cox. Lauren, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Good to see you, man. It was we had some fun last night, at least early on there. So we got to enjoy that for a little bit, but a lot to work through.
You know what? I knew the Packers were going to wake up. So the one thing I tell people a lot is be in the moment. And so I'm like, so let me enjoy this first half because I know Green Bay is going to come back and beat the shit out of us. I just know they are. Okay, so let me just enjoy this 30 minutes. Okay, this jet sweep, this kickoff, the punt return for a touchdown, Justin Fields running, David Montgomery running through people. That's why I only got one carry in the second half. And let me enjoy this 30 minutes because I know what's happening in the next 30, so I don't even want to think about that. But, my mom always told me, don't borrow the sorrow from tomorrow. Don't worry about shit that's going on. I'm not worried about I'm not borrowing the sorrow for the next 30 minutes. Let me just worry about it. And I was happy with that first 30 minutes, knowing at halftime I was like, whew, okay, now they come back and kick our ass. But that was fun. That 30 minutes was fun.
But when Khalil Herbert houses that onside kick, obviously it didn't count as a touchdown, but when he gets that onside kick, was part of you wake up a little bit like, oh, maybe, just maybe, or are you too burned?
You know what? Because I knew the rule. I was like, oh man, he can't. It's not even a touchdown. It's not even a touchdown, dude. It's not.
They recovered it. Seeing Justin Fields do the comebacks, dude, maybe.
Because I knew the rule. I was like, you can't advance it. Like you can't. I was like, damn it. I was more upset because, man, and somebody wrote on here as well. One of our listeners. And again, guys, thanks for tuning in, man. Cornelius Swallows is back. Louis Mejia he's all busy up in here today, boy. I love it. Southside Bear. Somebody wrote, you know what? Those rules need to be changed, and I agree. I agree. I just think that it reared its ugly head, and it was a rule. It's a rule. It's sometimes the rules committee, they need to look at certain things, and this could have made a big difference. The punt, even though it didn't count, the muff punt, okay, and the onside kick. Those are two things that could have really changed. That would change the game completely, because that's 2 touchdowns. That's 14 points, maybe 15 if they go for it to get a 2-point. That needs to be changed. But let's go back to the actual game. I was impressed and very, very happy with the way that they were performing in the first half yesterday. Okay, Justin Fields was looking. He was looking like his trajectory was going really, really high. He wasn't where we need him to be because he's still a rookie. I get it. All right. Why do you think that? And I'll start with this guy, and we'll move other. Allen Robinson is just not part of this offense. Why do you think that, dude?
Well, it's tough because, you look at even last night's game, I think Darnell Mooney had 1 catch for 19 yards. So in this particular game, he wasn't even part of this offense. And that's why I tend to look a little bit more toward the coach than the player in that regard. Yes, I haven't been a huge fan of Robinson's effort on some plays. There was the one in the end zone there where he didn't really do a lot to fight back toward the ball. And I get it was at the end of the game or whatever, but I also look at somebody had tweeted out last week, Robinson's routes, and he runs the most curl routes of any wide receiver in the NFL. He is at the top of the list in highest percentage of his routes.
Nagy loves that.
That's, you don't get Allen Robinson to 1,000 yards running curls, right? You know what I mean? So it's to some extent, he's not being utilized in a way to open things up downfield for him, but then also he's not necessarily making the most out of those opportunities that he does get. So I'm not going to put it all on Matt Nagy as just ruining Allen Robinson, but I'm not going to put it all on Allen Robinson for not always having seemingly the best effort or the best attitude. And I can sort of not blame him too when you feel like the coach is kind of holding you back and the quarterbacks keep changing and you haven't had chemistry with either one, but it's tough. It's certainly going to keep his price tag down this offseason, which could be a benefit for the Bears.
You know what? And I'm glad you mentioned that because this is probably the worst year. Not probably. This is the worst year. He finally, he plays under the cap, $18 million. he first of all, he's asking for too damn much. All right. You're not one of the best receivers in the league. You're a great receiver. You're a number one receiver. You're not in the top 10 in the league. I'm sorry. In my opinion. All right. This $20 million a year stuff that you're thinking about, sorry, homie, you better start thinking at the $10 to $12 million a year range, especially, but it only takes one. It only takes one team to offer him that. And that's all it takes. Will he take it? I don't know. I hope that he decides or he realizes he can come back here on a cheaper deal and you can start building chemistry with Justin Fields. Will he do that? I don't know. Give me your thoughts on what do you think that'll happen, and what about the development of Darnell Mooney? Will it help if Allen Robinson decides to come back, which I don't think he will, but if he does, do you think it'll help the development of Darnell Mooney, or will it hinder the development of Darnell Mooney?
I think they can definitely coexist at a high level. I mean, it's the modern NFL. We see teams have multiple 1,000-yard receivers in the same team, and you can have 3 or 4 guys that are all. I mean, of course, like get as many good wide receivers on your team as you can, because it's only going to help your young quarterback. Now, that being said, you look at the Bears roster right now, and the only wide receiver who's under contract next is Darnell Mooney. No one else has a contract for 2022. They have one wide receiver coming back as of right now. So they're going to have to add somebody, and many somebodies, whether that's re-signing Marquise Goodwin or Damiere Byrd. I'd hope maybe they'd shoot a little higher than that to try and, again, help this rookie quarterback. But I do think if Robinson's price tag comes down a little bit as a result of this season, it's a no-brainer to try and bring him back. It is just a question at this point whether he really wants to. It certainly, I think, will depend on who the general manager and head coach are, even if Matt Nagy's gone. But Pace is back. I don't know that Robinson is going to want to be friendly with the GM who he's been having trouble negotiating with for 2 years now. So I'm not anticipating Allen Robinson coming back. I think they'll miss out. They will be lesser for it, because it's hard, when you know what you have in Robinson, and he's not a top 5 wide receiver, but he is a number 1 caliber wide receiver. And I'll take the devil I know with that, as opposed to the devil I don't know of. Ryan Pace's free agent signings over the years haven't necessarily been all stellar. And even if it's a new GM, you don't know exactly what you're going to get there. So I would prefer to have Robinson back on an affordable deal, but they're going to have to add more than just Robinson at wide receiver to help out Justin Fields.
Yeah, they definitely are. Let's move on to the O-line. I don't know about you, but I think we have our tackles. And, I get it. Tevin Jenkins, had a bit of a rough day yesterday. It's his first game back off of injury. He could have got a little more help. One of the sacks I saw was really pissed. I might get technical here, guys, so just pay attention. So he got a chip on the tight end, and he kept kick stepping back.
Preston Smith one, yeah.
So on the sack. So what I don't understand, okay, is once your guy is coming off a block or coming off a chip, okay, he's not at full speed. He's not a full explosion, okay, that he is coming off the line. Why you don't attack him at that particular point, okay? One of the biggest things I have a problem with is pass blocking, because if you go out attack a guy, if you say you run block a guy on a pass, and you just stalemate him at the line, you have 2 yards, a yard or two to get before you're downfield. You just attack him at the line of scrimmage and stay. I have an issue with that, but I digress. How did you like the tackles yesterday, Larry Borum and Tevin Jenkins overall?
Yeah, I think we're gonna remember the penalties for Jenkins so much more than anything else, and like those to me feel like the most like easily fixable rookie. Like, yeah, I mean, of course, like he's gonna have a false start and maybe a couple holding penalties here and there, and even one of the holding penalties out on the wide receiver screen. I mean, it was a borderline call, and it was a offensive tackle lined up at the numbers. It's just not what it's not what you're going to ask him to do, right? You don't ask a rookie to do that, and you try not to ask any of your offensive linemen to do that. So, like, we get the penalties were bad, and that's it's a big thing we'll remember. But like, he was really solid in the first half, and even in some of the third quarter. I mean, there were 2 bad sacks. They gave up the strip sack that had a hold, and then the other one. I mean, like those are bad plays. But for a rookie thrown in there in his first game, and I didn't feel like the Bears gave him enough help in terms of chipping from tight ends. There was some, but he was on an island quite a bit, and all things considered, held up well. I also he didn't look to be like in great like game shape. He looked a little bit fluffy, around the sides, and not that I'm the perfect expert of offensive line bodies on TV, right? But like, considering he hadn't played football in 14 months or whatever it is, right? You're just not in game shape to play.
Yeah.
He might be in good shape overall physically, but just not in like game shape.
Game shape.
With Jason Peters, when the Bears signed him, like he needed 3 or 4 weeks before he was like physically in that sort of like cardiovascular level of athleticism. And I just think Jenkins probably wasn't there yet either. And so give him a couple more weeks before we really write anything home. But Borum played well on the right side. He's really been super impressive for a 5th round pick. And then Jenkins is on the right path, but one game we'll sort of see from here. But I think the end of the season will be a good sort of acclimation period for him. And we can really start judging him in year 2.
Yeah, I think and there's a couple of run plays that he just he mauled people, and that's what I care about. You know what? And here's the issue, and here's the one thing I've said on the show, freaking ad nauseum. The best way to help a tackle pass block is to run block. Okay, get guys going forward, get these guys moving. Let his fucking attitude come through. Let him get somebody, move somebody. Okay, because that develops confidence. That develops a lot of confidence because if you're running the ball. Okay, and we're running it down your throat. Guess what? Defensive linemen, and I've said this, ad nauseum as well. There's a saying among every freaking defensive line room in the country, from high school to college to the pros. You have to earn the right to rush the passer. And if you don't stop the run, okay, you cannot rush the passer because they're going to run you to death. So you get these guys moving, and you start running the ball. And all of a sudden now you play action. Well, guess what? That defensive end who's coming for the sack, he can't go for the quarterback because he's looking to see if that's a run, which slows his explosion, his speed, and everything down, which makes it a lot more feasible, a lot easier for our tackles in order to stop them because they're not dealing with a guy who's coming hell bent for election. They're dealing with a guy who's looking for the run, and he's not coming out 100%.
You're making too much sense, Shawn. You got to pump the brakes. You make too much sense right now.
And there's one other thing about Tevin Jenkins that I haven't really seen anybody talk about yet, but from that game yesterday, did you notice every time his teammate was tackled or Justin Fields was on the ground, Tevin Jenkins was running
right
over
there.
He was the first person every time to extend a hand and help his teammate up. Or if somebody was injured, anything
get out of here. Reach down, grab him up. Yes.
And no other Bears offensive linemen do that. And it frustrates the hell out of me that these guys don't seem to give a shit about each other. You know what I mean? Like the Bears, no one
say that again for the people in the back. Say that again for the people in the back.
They don't give a shit. It's just like, but Tevin Jenkins did. Like that's such a culture thing that Jenkins has been sort of shielded from this Bears culture of not caring enough and not really playing to the whistle. And like, so he comes in as this sort of like fresh, like, he hasn't been hearing the message, hasn't been seeing his teammates do that stuff. And he comes in and it's just like, it was so refreshing to see somebody like care and really like play to the whistle and go be good teammates to each other and not just like, well, I gave up the sack to Fields and just kind of stare at him. We've seen defenders help Justin Fields up. Yeah. His own offensive linemen just kind of turn around and look at him like, what are we doing? Like it frustrates me with Juan Castillo, especially as the offensive line coach. Like it's just simple stuff. Dude,
that is so important. And guys, we're joined by Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast, talking Bears football right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. Listen, that is so telling. Okay, that is so telling because if you look at other quarterbacks and just think about it, and you won't remember it until we mention it right now, you'll see guys go 2 or 3 linemen there. Like getting defenders out of the way. Good, you sack them, get your ass out of the way, and they reach down and help them up. That's got to change. And you mentioned culture. That's exactly what it is, Lauren. It's culture. You don't give a shit. You're playing for yourself. And once that toxic shit goes, this team's going to be so much better. And you know what? Juan Castillo has a good rep for being an offensive line coach, but that's something that I'm not a fan of. You have to tell your players, especially if you're the guy who causes that sack, you better be the first dude there to pick his ass up because you're trailing anyway. You're trailing the guy who made the sack, so you're gonna be right by the damn quarterback. Help his ass up. You know what? That's a phenomenal point. Talk to me about that running game. Why in God's green earth did David Montgomery get one freaking carry when he averaged 4+ a game for the game? One carry in the second half.
Matt Nagy tried to address that after the game, and he said, well, the first thing he said was like, well, we just didn't really have very many plays in the second half, which is a true statement, but then we fell behind. And so I guess you just never run the ball when you're behind. Don't get me wrong. Like, of course, like you do need to pass more when you're losing by double digits, but first drive of the second half was the strip sack. So they had 2 plays on that drive. Okay. First play, they both were passes. Maybe should have, or no, one was a run to Jakeem Grant, excuse me. So they were trying to run the ball in different ways there, but then like you get later in that the last drive of the third quarter is pass, punt. Like it just something to kind of you just switch things up and go back to your offensive identity, right? I mean, like this offense is supposed to be the physical running the ball, and the Packers' run defense has been they've been pretty good, but in terms of yards per carry, they're like middle of the pack. They're giving up 4.5 or whatever over the course of the season. So like there's some room there. It just felt like Matt Nagy put so much of the pressure on Justin Fields.
Yes.
The hero.
Yes.
Throw us into the game and run yourself. Use your legs to be our running game too. And it's just like you want Fields to become that eventually. And certainly like at the end of the fourth quarter, you need him to do that. But it's the third quarter and early fourth quarter. Like you don't have to abandon your running game and change up your whole offense or anything. Like let's slow it down. Let's keep the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands for a change.
Here's the thing is that you see what the Patriots did was it Thursday night in Buffalo last week or whenever they played at Buffalo. Mac Jones, the
Monday
kid
night.
who's up Monday night, who was up for the rookie of the year. Okay. 3 passes. They said, "Hey, listen, you want to get an offensive. You want to have 5 offensive linemen with a hard on. You say, guys, we are throwing the ball 5 times today. That's it. Everything else is a run." You see how excited offensive linemen are going to get because that's what they live for. Offensive linemen live to move people. They don't live to back up and protect the quarterback. Okay, they live to move people. And if you tell your offensive lineman, listen, we're not going to put it on Justin Fields. Justin Fields is a phenomenal quarterback. He's going to be the face of this franchise for the next 10 to 15 years. But tonight, we are going to be the face of this franchise. Tonight, we are going to run the ball 30 plus times. Are you ready for this? You will have, I'm telling you, it is a mindset that you get these guys into. They will be seething at the freaking mouth. They will be fired up, and you put it on them. You put it on them running by with David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert running behind them. That's the recipe for success. And why after that opening drive, you didn't say, "Hey, listen, let's take the win out of Green Bay sails." They just went down and like a hot knife through butter. 9 plays, I think it was. First opening drive, put it in the end zone. Guess what? We're gonna run it down their throat. Let that hot knife cool off a little bit on the sideline. That's the part of that's the shit that really bugs me with Matt Nagy not understanding football, not getting it, saying, "Hey, Aaron Rodgers is hot right now. We know Aaron Rodgers is going to come out. Let's keep his ass on the sideline as long as we can with this running game." Is that all Nagy, or how much of this blame goes on Laser as well?
I mean, some of it has to go on Laser because like he is calling the plays and he could stand up for it, but it's like the subordinate underneath the leader. It's like you can blame him for not saying no to his leader and kind of rejecting whatever the top-down message is, but at the same time, like he also has to be a good little soldier and do what leadership wants for him. But so it's hard because Bill, it's hard to determine where to throw Bill.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a problem, but it just seems like this offensive coaching staff, from a philosophy standpoint, they just miss the forest for the trees so much. Like they get so caught up in in the individual plays and drawing up the trick plays here and knowing that they got to pass to get back in, and they miss the bigger picture of just like, hey, slow things down for your rookie quarterback, run the ball, put Rodgers on the side, just like the bigger picture stuff. Like they're so focused on, we got to score on this drive. So what are we going to do to go score or whatever? And then it completely falls apart. And they just seem to miss, like you said, it's like they don't understand. It's not that they don't understand football. They're just not thinking about, they don't seem to be thinking about it in that bigger picture way.
Guys, we're joined by Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast, dropping some fucking nuggets right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. And here's another one. This is one of my former offensive linemen. He said, "I like stonewalling on pass blocking, shoot out, then retreat. Because when you retreat right away, they know what to pass, and shoot out on passing. The defense can't read if it's a run or pass, and the advantage goes to the old lineman." This is a veteran who was one of my offensive guards. We won a national championship before the turn of the century in 1999. So he's telling you exactly what works. But talk to me about the offensive line period. Sam Mustipher's been having an issue. He's getting blown the freak up, dude. Do you have any understanding? And is this, politics? Why in God's name they don't put James Daniel, who was a center, one of the best centers coming out of college, out of Iowa, put him at center? You got Mustipher, and then put Alex Barr as a guard again, and now you have a big 3 and leave Mustipher. You can cut him at the end of the offseason, but leave him there for backup purposes. So now you have a stud center, 2 guards, and literally that's your run game. and then you have your 2 young tackles. Why do you think Castillo is so adamant about not doing that?
It's tough because I don't feel like any of the solutions are perfect, right? Not that there's ever really perfect solutions in the NFL, but like I totally understand him not wanting to shake up the offensive line combination because if you're taking Daniels from right guard and putting him at center, or if you're taking Whitehair from left guard and putting him at center, then you're mixing up 2 positions, right? You're changing 2 spots to where guys have to mix up their chemistry, and obviously you just changed left tackle, so things kind of thrown off a little bit that way. But at least that was injury based. Like the more time these guys can spend together with the same group, of course, as you you build that chemistry and that cohesion, and you learn sort of like the muscle memory of the guy next to you. Like, okay, here's how much space I need to give him if there's somebody coming in the A gap versus how much space I need to give him if somebody's coming in the B gap. You can't just like pick that up right away. It takes that time to build it over time. So like it would be a different story if you had a true backup center on your roster and you could just swap one out with the other and just put someone there. But to have to like move a guard over and then put in a new person at guard, so then you're potentially weakening right guard and maybe improving center, but it's going to take some time for that chemistry to build up. Plus, James Daniels struggled at center earlier in his career, and Cody Whitehair has struggled at center too. I mean, moving them back and forth has been problematic for both of them. And at least it seems like they kind of found homes at the 2 guard spots where they've been this season. They've played that same position all season for the first time, like in their whole careers, to just sit at one spot and be healthy. And I think they've played relatively well at those spots. And I hate to take them out of there to improve what's really a clear need at center. They need to do something at center. They don't have anyone else, which is partially a Ryan Pace thing, not rostering a backup center all season.
Right. They're talking about Dieter Eisen as a center as well, and give him a shot. But
yeah,
here's my thing. All right, you're done. Your playoff hopes are done. Okay, regardless of what anyone else says, your playoff hopes are done. So you know what? Make the move now.
Yeah, I agree.
Make the move now. You got 4 games left. Okay, James, you know what? Whatever problems you have with the center, you better fix that shit. You got 4 weeks, because next year I don't want to have to deal with bad snaps. I don't want to deal with you not being able to get your hands up and blocking. You're going to work all this shit out, okay, here in these last 4 games. Get that, Alex Bars. We're probably going to draft the guard, okay? But right now you get the first shot, okay, to win that job and impress us. Okay, and have the advantage going into training camp in the competition, because there should be competition for every position. This is what they need to do. Competition is key, and for whatever reason, they've decided not to do that, especially on the offensive line, and that's killing us. Because if you get competition at all 3, at the 2 guards in the center spot, guess what? That's going to make those 3 better. And then you bring in some other guards or some other tackles to compete with Larry Borum and Tevin Jenkins. It's going to make them better. Hell, I'd tell Jason Peters, hey, you know what? We're going to sign you in camp. Okay. We'll give you a signing bonus. We're going to cut you. We're really going to cut you. But here's the thing. We need you to compete, because we're going to make him better. And, you can go back to, August 31st, you can go back on your boat, but I need you to compete and make Tevin Jenkins think that he's got to work and earn this job.
But, entering the season, one of the things Ryan Pace said at the season, like the beginning of the season press conference, was how great he felt about all the competition they have on this roster, especially in the secondary. He said, like, that's a strength of our team, is all the competition we have in the secondary. And we've seen just how well that played out this season.
Yeah. Except for the quarterback, because, we promised him, so there's no competition there.
No competition there. Nope.
No, the most important position in pro sports, there's no competition there whatsoever. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Is Kindle Vildor, is he going to be with us much longer, do you think? Because this dude seems overmatched. He makes boneheaded mistakes. He keeps getting burned. Your thoughts on Kindle Vildor?
I mean, it was pretty much just the special teams penalty last night.
Yeah, that was big enough.
But yeah, it was big. But like, when you rewatch it, I mean, it was a borderline call. I mean, and really it distracts from Matt Nagy punting there instead of going for it on 4th and inches. We're talking about that.
True, very true.
Kind of the conservative decision when you're down 11 in the 4th quarter. But so it's like between him and Artie Burns, they have one starting cornerback on this roster, and they entered the season with one starting cornerback on this roster. And I mean, maybe Duke Shelley, he was okay in the slot before he got injured and stuff, but like, this secondary is it's a disaster. I mean, it really is, especially the cornerback position, the most damning evidence against Ryan Pace, especially, like I said, like he specifically felt like the competition they had there was going to be a strength of this roster. It's one thing if he says, we're anticipating some challenges there, but we're working through it. But for him to have come out and said, like, we think this is a strength of ours, and for that perceived strength to be such a clearly obvious weakness is just, I mean, you can't survive that. And it makes the conversation about Shawn Desai difficult because, like, yes, he has not been a good defensive coordinator this season, but it's his first year as a defensive coordinator. So I'm going to give him a little bit of slack for that. And then he's got he's got one cornerback and two safeties that have sort of vanished that, what the heck happened to Eddie Jackson and to Sean Gibson's kind of been, man, they've been injured too. So it's like, I want to be mad at Shawn Desai for questionable decisions here and there, but he doesn't have much talent to work with either. So it is a complete mess from top to bottom, coaching, personnel, players, injuries. And that's why this Bears defense is really a shell of what it once was.
It really is. And you know what, if you thinking, obviously hindsight's 2020, but a lot of us called it beforehand, keep Jimmy Graham or keep Kyle Fuller. I'm keeping Kyle Fuller. That defense, now you have Kyle Fuller, who was really, really good at dislodging receivers from that football. And you got Jalen Jackson, who's growing and would have continued to grow and develop. Now you have those two corners, which really, really help out a lot. And the only place teams really could go would be the slot receiver, which is what they do a lot anyway. But nonetheless, you still have two corners. And if, Ryan Pace for as good as he does picking in the, second, third, fourth round, he still screws up his first round picks. 75% of his first round picks are no longer with the team. One of them is helping another team, out in LA. So it's frustrating with that. Talk to me about this D line. Akeem Hicks, do you think it's his last year? I know he didn't play yesterday, but what do you see of Akeem Hicks? Is his time here done in Chicago? And where in God's name? And I saw him on a milk carton. A couple for the most of the time was Eddie Goldman. What's going on with him, dude?
Yeah, that's the that's part of the problem with this team is that, like, no defensive linemen have been anywhere near consistent this season. I mean, like, Hicks, when he's been healthy, is still looks like some level of Akeem Hicks. I do think. I mean, it's tough because new general manager kind of throws everything out the window as far as, like, well, what could happen if Pace is fired and Armstrong's brought in, or whoever they end up bringing. Then things could change. But certainly, I think all the writing on the wall and all the signs are that Akeem Hicks will be gone. This is his last season in Chicago. Maybe he's played his last game in Chicago, although we'll see how health-wise how things go. I mean, his price tag is just a little bit too high, and they have not a lot of financial flexibility, and he has been injured a lot and hasn't played up to full Akeem Hicks standards. Don't get me wrong. One of my favorite players on the Bears. Love the guy. I still think he plays hard and plays well and is a valuable member of this team. But if he's going to come back, he's going to have to take a pay cut. And if another team is willing to pay him more, he'll jump ship and go there. But again, new general manager could kind of change that. But just this defensive line as a whole, I mean, Bilal Nichols finally showed up last night on a couple of those pressures that were Robert Quinn sacks. And, that's the first time for most of the season I've seen Bilal Nichols really kind of show up. He's been a pretty big disappointment. I mean, he's been around, and maybe he was a 5th round pick, so maybe he's just kind of come back down to where 5th round picks should be, and that's reasonable, right? I mean, he's maybe exceeded expectations as a rookie, and now he's kind of settled into, like, he's a rotational defensive lineman, but not a difference maker up front. And Eddie Goldman's kind of fallen into that too right now. Like, he just hasn't been a particularly big difference maker. He'll hold on to a double team, but he's not really. I don't know. It's not as much of the, like, even like the good dirty work. You know what I mean? It's not difference making. It's just kind of occupying some space and not really holding on as long as you need to on blocks, not really being able to at least
shed him. Yeah.
Shed him or like the double teams are moving him a little bit more. If you can keep him at the line of scrimmage and free up your linebackers, that's great. But he's occupying both blocks, but they're moving him and getting in the way of linebackers. And it's not the same Eddie Goldman. I wonder if he's healthy. And then they just don't have great depth there. I mean, Angelo Blackson's been mediocre. Marcus Hunt's been mediocre. And Mario Edwards has been hurt. I'm kind of excited for Edwards to get back in there and bring some of that juice, because that's what he really brings to that defensive line. And they've been missing that, especially without Akeem Hicks.
You talk about difference makers. Cornelius Squalls, you got it right. Robert Quinn has been a man on fire, dude. He's been a man on fire. My only issue with Robert Quinn is he gets his sacks early. That's the only issue.
Yeah.
Like, you got 14 sacks now, dude, but like 9 or 10 of them have been in the first quarter. Like, okay, they're important, but I need him in the third and fourth quarter. I need him when the team's I need him on the end of that first half, that drive that he hits Devontae Adams. I need a sack then. Okay, not to let him hit Devontae Adams for the and have the Bears, knock each other out with friendly fire, let Devontae Adams skip into the God blessed end zone. That's when I need the sacks. You talk about empty numbers. To me, those are empty numbers. But nonetheless, getting to the quarterback is still hard. Talk to me about this 2021 Robert Quinn versus 2020 Robert Quinn.
Something was wrong last season, and he's kind of like hinted about it and danced about it. And I've heard different things, and I'm still not super clear on what exactly it was, but like something, that we can't see, right? It wasn't necessarily like an obvious physical injury or anything like that, but like he was not, for whatever reason, I don't know, in the right headspace. If there's something wrong physically, like internally that we just, we couldn't tell, whatever it was, he wasn't letting on to something last season. And so like, we've seen, because we've seen early in his career, he was capable of what he's doing right now for the Bears, right? This is not like something him. Oops, could I cut out in there? It's a part of what we've seen him do this before in his career. And so like, he's getting back to it. I'm not necessarily expecting him to do 14 sacks every season, but like he did this with the Rams. He did it with the Cowboys before the Bears signed him, not to 14, but like that bend on the edge and just that explosiveness that was just, it was missing. There's a little bit of extra juice in Robert Quinn, and especially doing it without Khalil Mack right now is the most impressive part.
Yeah, why they're not chipping him and then double teaming him after the chip, which would be a triple team, I have no idea. But you go ahead, keep leaving him one-on-one on the island, because dude, his bend is sick. His bend coming around that corner is freaking sick, and we know there had to be something wrong with him, because you see the bend that he has this year versus the bend that he had last year, and those are two different players. And it's awesome to see this guy. I can't wait till Khalil Mack comes back next year, and hopefully we get a new defensive coordinator. So I think it's a foregone conclusion that Matt Nagy is gone. Who would you like to see? Okay, first of all, how far do you want this to go up? Okay, how far do you want this enema to how much do you want it to clean out? And who would you like to see as the Bears head coach, and why?
Yeah, certainly would like to go. I'd like it to go as high as it possibly can. Ownership, George Pakaski, Ted Phillips. All the way up. It's an organizational problem to where this organization accepts mediocrity and doesn't prioritize winning championships over everything else. They're okay with 8-8 in the playoffs, and that's not how you run a franchise in the NFL. But as far as the head coaching position, it's tough because it feels like the head coaching cycle right now is a little bit of a down year. Like there was some hype for actually both Buffalo coordinators, Leslie Frazier and Brian Dable, but like that defense crapped the bed last week and then struggled to stop the Patriots running game, like you said, and the offensive coordinator has had some real sort of like questionable decisions here and there where Bills fans are starting to, not calling for the pitchforks or anything, but Bills fans are starting to question him as sort of that unquestioned, genius offensive mastermind. So I'm struggling a little bit there. Byron Leftwich in Tampa Bay. He's got Tom Brady, and he wasn't able to quite get it all squared away with Jameis Winston. So like, I'm not in love with him. Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, he's had one really, really great year, and he was great in the NFL. Like he was good in the NFL, but like there's a lot of bad in between there where I'm not, I'd like a little bit more evidence of where things could go. Same with Ryan Day at Ohio State. He's coming off of a bad year too. So it's like, there isn't like this golden candidate that you can just hold up and be like, he's experienced and he's hot right now and he's doing everything well. And it's like, this is the guy we need to go get as the head coach. So then it's like, well, if Pete Carroll becomes available in Seattle, I don't hate that idea. Or Sean Payton, if they're willing to part ways with him in New Orleans, give me a Super Bowl winner who's like, there's a certain level of consistency that you're going to get there of a culture.
Yes, you will.
Like, sure, that's probably where I would prefer to go, but both of those seem a little bit not quite pipe dreamy, but just those are not guaranteed that they're going to be available.
So because I would love Sean Payton. You put Sean Payton with Justin Fields. What? Holy shit, dude. You talk, it's like, it sounds like my offensive coordinator from college. Peep this real quick story. So my offensive coordinator from college, Clyde Christensen, was in Indianapolis for 15 years. Has some guy named Peyton, something or other. I remember his last name. So he coached him, and then when he went to Denver, Peyton, that's something or other guy, he gets Andrew Luck. Okay, Now he's down in Tampa with this the Tom guy or whatever, Tomas or whatever the quarterback's name is down there. I'm like, how? I text him out, I DM'd him. I'm like, how freaking lucky and fortunate are you, dude? You got Peyton Manning, okay, and then now you're with Tom Brady, and now he's got a Super Bowl ring. You got a Super Bowl ring with Peyton Manning, and now he's got a Super Bowl ring with Tom Brady. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, Coach Clyde Christensen. Dude out of North Carolina, and he told us one time, he talks like this. He's like, Coach, hey, Shawnee. He got this little accent like this. Hey, Shawnee. He goes, you know who my roommate was freshman year? I was like, who's your roommate, Coach? He's like, Lawrence Taylor. That boy is wild. I was like, were you roommates all 4 years? He's like, no, I couldn't handle him 4 years. He left after my freshman year. He went to room with somebody else. I was like, okay, Coach, I get you.
Wow.
So yeah, that's awesome, man. And I'm thinking, Sean Payton to hear, would you be willing to give up a Yeoman's, a big haul for him? Because they're going to ask for it, just like the Raiders did for the Tampa Bay for Chucky. You think the Bears would be willing to give up some draft picks and some money? Money's not an issue, but
Yeah.
draft picks.
That's tough. Like if they hadn't given up the future first for Fields, so that I might be more willing to part with a first round pick. But to give up like next year's first and go now back-to-back years again without first-round picks, I mean, those can be so important for a new general manager to build around Justin Fields. And it would feel kind of like after the Jay Cutler trade too, where it's just like you got the quarterback, but now you don't have the ammo to fully build around him the way you want with some of these long-term type developmental picks. And so it's like, but could Sean Payton be good enough to overcome that? I mean, maybe. So it's like, it depends on the price tag. Like I could give up a second round pick or maybe a combination of like a second round pick and a fourth round pick, like maybe next year's second and this year's fourth. And I mean, do you want Robert Quinn? Like throw in a player or something. I don't know. Like try and make something work without it having to be like all of your top draft picks over the next couple of seasons. That's kind of where I would start to draw the line, because I need to be able to building around Fields is slightly more important than the head coach.
Last question, Lauren, before we let you go. And guys, we're joined by Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast, talking some good stuff right here. Bears football and Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. Jakeem Grant, is he officially signing Tariq Cohen's exit papers? Because that's a dude that needs to come back. And do you think he gets a contract in the offseason after his very small but explosive body of work?
Yeah, I think Tariq Cohen's contract papers may have already been his blue slippers may have been already on the way there, because the dude's AWOL. I mean, it's not his fault; it's an injury or whatever. But they're paying him a lot of money, and you have Khalil Herbert, and of course now Grant too is definitely. I think unless they bring in some new head coach and general manager that just loves Tariq Cohen, because that's the thing. It's like, well, is the next head coach going to love Jakeem Grant the way Matt Nagy might be falling in love with right now? It's kind of hard to know. I think he's going to get paid by somebody. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking top wide receiver money or anything like that, but more than the minimum he's getting now. He's clearly got the speed, and it just seems like teams have struggled to kind of find the right role for him. And somehow, I mean, just give Matt Nagy credit for at least finding it for one game. I mean, it is one game. He hasn't done much overall prior, and we'll see what the rest of the season goes. But it feels like there's something here that when you have a player with that much speed and that sort of like, I hate to really bring it, even use the name in the same sentence, but
say it.
Some of that Hester-like.
Oh, okay. I was thinking someone else. Okay,
in the open field, we can say Patterson, Cordell Patterson.
No, I was going to say Tyreek Hill.
Oh, Tyreek Hill. No, just like it's like when Grant has blockers in front of him in open space. It's just sort of that ability to just kind of like weave without slowing down and kind of just bounce off of people a little bit. There was something not Hester-like, but like it gives you that feeling inside of like, oh, like there's something magical happening when this guy has the ball in those moments, but it has to be in the right amount of space, in the same way that like you couldn't just make Devin Hester a regular wide receiver. It doesn't work like that. If you manufacture the touches in the right way, he's explosive and can take it to the house at any given moment. And that's the same style of player that Jakeem Grant showed last night that has the potential to do more. And some smart offensive coach is going to find a way to do something with that. We'll see if it's in Chicago or not.
Yeah, because I love what he brings to the table in the kick game. Like you said, him and Khalil Herbert returning kickoffs and punts. That combo would be deadly. Him, getting a couple touches of wide receiver reminds me literally of Tyreek Hill, because he's got that speed. He's got the shiftiness, and that's what I really like. That shiftiness, not just that straightaway speed. The straightaway speed is good, but when you have that shiftiness where you're in a phone booth and you can make a guy miss and then hit top speed in your third step, that's huge. And that's the kind of guy that, he reminds me of a Darren Sproles back in his day.
Yeah.
And Sean Payton knows a little bit about Darren Sproles. So get his ass over here I guarantee that they'll keep this kid, this grandkid, awesome. Hey, Lauren, great stuff, buddy. I appreciate it, man. Do me a favor, though. Let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
Yeah, of course. You can follow me on Twitter at Cox Sports One. Like you said, it's Fox Sports One, but with a C. You can hear me 5 days a week on the Locked On Bears podcast as well on YouTube and then all the podcasting platforms.
Good stuff, buddy. We'll be in touch soon, man. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you having me on.
All right, buddy. Guys, that was Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast, man. Dropping some nuggets today. Good stuff with him today, man. I'll tell you what, it's good. I like Lauren. We there's a lot that needs to be done. A lot. They talk about wide receivers. One of the things that they talked about on I think it was the post game, the football after show. First of all, shout out to my guy Eddie Gutierrez at Eddie Gutierrez over at Output. Yesterday they had a big thing to do. Miller Lite was there. Zach Miller was in the house. So a lot of the locals the regulars got a chance to get a picture with Zach Miller, who was brought there by Miller Lite, and then also Lance Briggs stopped by. He was scheduled. He was there for 2 hours. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I think Lance Briggs was the one who said it. I just lost where I was going with this because I was so excited about Zach Miller and Lance Briggs. Oh, yeah. No, I remember. Maybe it was Olin. Talk about you got to go get a number one wide receiver. You got to get a number one wide receiver. You got to find like a Jamar Chase out in LSU. You got to get a number one wide receiver. Get a number one wide receiver. Get him vibing with Justin Fields. You look at Cincinnati. Cincinnati did the smart thing. Okay. And Jamar Chase might not have been the best receiver in the draft coming out of the draft, but you pair him with the number one pick, his college quarterback, where they set records in their national championship season 2 seasons ago, and now you have a number one receiver, and you can get guys. I mean, Devontae Adams was a second round pick, I believe, so you can find him in the second and third round. You don't need to go in a first round pick, but this is your scouting department. You have to do a great job, and you need to get a number one receiver for Justin Fields. Allen Robinson, if you want to stay at a pay cut, fine. I say get it through the draft because it's cheaper. Trust me. Next year, the Bears aren't winning the Super Bowl. 2022, the Bears aren't winning the Super Bowl. Okay, guarantee it. Okay, but if you identify and find a number one receiver, 6'3", 6'4", okay, you pair him with Justin Fields next year. In addition to the chemistry he already has with Darnell Mooney, in addition to signing Jakeem Grant, again, sign him back, all of a sudden now we're cooking with gas. Now we're cooking with gas. What's up, Papa?
There's a couple free agent wide receivers that are interesting that are going to be on the market. One I like that's been developing, and I know it's a contract year, and he's kind of been a weird start to his career. Michael Gallup, a lot of speed, a lot of talent.
Cowboys.
He's a guy that can stretch the field for you. A guy like that. If you could get a guy like Michael Gallup, do the draft or through free agency. I like that idea. I like getting more weapons for Justin Fields. The one thing that the main thing I want is depth, right? You got to have some depth as well. You're going to lose a couple guys. Like I said, Allen Robinson's probably not going to be there. So you gotta, whatever you do, it has to be smart. Now the speculation is still without us knowing who the hell is going to be the GM or the head coach, right? So there's that matter that needs to be handled first. But if you're looking at it, you have talent. Like there is talent on this football team. It's just, how we always talk about it. How do you utilize that talent? What positions are you putting them in? And it is going to show, lead to either your success or your failure. Right now, it's led to a lot of failure for the Chicago Bears with the mismanagement of your team, with the, inability to, I wouldn't say control the locker room, but command respect in the locker room, command the attention of the locker room. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like there's a lot of guys out there that are just kind of just grasping at straws right now, trying to figure out what to say every day in front of the media because your coach doesn't say it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't, it's hard for a team to be like, yeah, we suck. You know, you're not going to get that out of a David Montgomery. You're not going to get that out of Justin Fields. They're just going to say, we're getting better. We're going to try to get better, try to get wins. But at the end of the day, it's like, how do you march up your head coach? How do you march up your GM? How do you march up, yourself as an owner and continue to just say the same old thing when the obviously the product on the football field is saying different? It's hard for me to believe in this team without any move being made. Maybe it's today, Shawn. Maybe we get a early Christmas gift and it's today and they do something crazy.
Now you're asking too much. When you said earlier that I was making too much sense, that makes too much sense from this franchise. Someone asked, how long has Grant been in the NFL? He's 29. He's 29 years old. Okay, so he's been in here for a minute. Let me just double check. So he came in. I'm trying to see exactly when he came in. He's out of Texas Tech. Career. Here's what I need. Was he? They're giving me. So he came in 2016. Wow. So he's been with the Miami Dolphins his whole career up until this point. Okay, he came in 2016, 17, 18, 19, and 20. He was with the Dolphins. So he's 29. I say he's got a good, 3 to 5 years left in him. Because him being a with his ability to go back and forth, his lateral movement, that's huge. That's huge. His escapability, he's got that for another couple years. All right, I say a solid 3, and then and then maybe 4 or 5 after that, but a solid 3. I look to re-sign him. He's done a lot of good things here. Because trust me, if the Bears don't re-sign him, somebody's re-signing his ass. They are not playing at all. I can guarantee you that they are not playing, and I think that would be a huge help for this team. There's this guy, it really bugs me. I'm going back to this head coach. The culture is so frustrating. You see, the punt on 4th down, the various, end the misery already, guys. Put Bears fans, put us all out of, put him out of his misery. All right, let him go. Finish, pay him his whatever he's got. All right, for the rest of this year. If you want to pay him the rest of his contract, that's cool, fine, whatever. That's on you guys. But let him go. Make sure you have the ability to start interviewing people the last 2 weeks of the season. Okay, get a head start so you can have an idea of who you want or see who's interested. See who's interested in this job. You're probably going to need a GM. Or why are you waiting? Because if you move Ryan Pace up, okay, Ryan Pace still has value. I would suggest that you use Ryan Pace and the scouting team, really rely on him rounds 2 through from rounds 2 and on. Okay. New guy, you get picked round number 1, but you don't have a first round pick this year. Okay. But the following seasons, you can't keep missing on first round picks. If we can marry good first round picks with the talent that this scouting department has, their ability to get guys in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 12th. I know there's only 6 rounds, but with the talent that they have there, now you're starting something. Now you're cooking with gas. Now you are cooking with gas because you have your top pick who you expect a lot from, and then you have a whole bunch of other. What were you talking? We were talking earlier? Depth. You got guys who can play here. Depth, and those guys, and that depth gets rotated every year. And those guys are going to fight extremely hard because when you come in as a 4th, 5th, and 6th round pick, it's really easy. It's really easy to lose your job. So that you're going to fight. You're going to fight. So when they bring other guys, 4th, 5th, 6th rounders, guys who are trying to make the team, you have no choice but to fight. and all it is competing, and all it is making this team better. And then you get guys in the practice squad. So if someone gets hurt, now the backups move up, and then the guys who are in the practice squad, they get moved up as well. For look at that. Brashad Perriman doesn't even get dressed for a game. Yesterday is catching TDs. Oh no, he caught one TD and it was the game winner, where he just ran away from that linebacker. Yeah.
Go ahead.
But you see what happens is, you put the Bears did something similar to that. You put a really fast guy on a linebacker. Okay, they had Brashad Perriman. He was the number 3 receiver on the left side, and he was just kind of weaving his way across, just kind of let everything clear out on the right side and everything on the left. And the linebacker's like, "Oh shit, I got him!" And you put a fast guy on a linebacker running away from him. That's what you do. That's what the Bears did yesterday with on that angle route with Bird. I don't know. Shh. It's a concept. Don't tell anybody else. Put fast guys, match them up by formation, schematically, match them up with linebackers. Don't tell anybody else. Shh.
Oh, is that new?
It's new.
Is that
new?
I
just made it up right now.
Here. It was night and day. That first half, like I said, you got excited. You were like, "Oh my, wow, things are going the Chicago Bears way." If you were like, "Oh, this, the Bears need if you believe the Bears are going to upset the Packers, that's exactly how you wanted the game to start." Right? That's exactly how you wanted the game to start. I point to that Devontae Adams touchdown to being pretty much the start of the fall of the Bears game yesterday. Crawford out of position. He was also out beat by Lazard on the earlier touchdown where they responded when they were down 10-0. And I was talking about, I was like, man, if the Bears defense could get off this field right now, talk about a huge momentum swing. It didn't happen. You saw Crawford get beat by Lazard badly, and then all of a sudden he gets beat by Devontae Adams badly. But that's what I was talking about with depth. That's what you were mentioning with depth. We talked, you guys talked about Kyle Fuller. But the offensive game plan, right? You had things that were hitting. You had things that were moving. You were running the football in the first half. A little less than I'd like, but you were running the football in the first half. The second, it was just like you had no clue what you were doing. You had no script. There was no plays ready, no set plays ready. There was nothing cohesive about your game plan in the second half. It just seemed like you were, doing the same old shit, throwing shit at the wall, hoping stuff sticks. And the Packers exposed you. You had Peters go out. Peters might have fared a little bit better than Jenkins just because I'm looking at Jason Peters as a Hall of Fame player. Yeah, he's on the back end of his career, but maybe he could do a little bit. Maybe he could do a little bit more. Maybe he has a little more knowledge. Well, he obviously has a little more knowledge than Tevin Jenkins. Maybe his smarts can help him, during the game. You get Tevin Jenkins in, and then all of a sudden you get the hit on Justin Fields. You get Justin Fields with a bad pass to Rasul Douglas. It was pretty much to Rasul Douglas. He might as well ran the route for Darnell Mooney. Bad pass, bad route, just bad play. All together, you didn't have a plan. There was no identity again. It just seemed like you just went ahead and said, all right, I'm going to do it my way once again. We have the lead. I'm having fun. Remember, Shawn? I'm having fun. I'm just out here having fun, playing Madden in real life. Like that's exactly what Matt Nagy was doing. He had no plan. They came in the second half, one rush. They got their asses whooped. 3 points. 3 points after scoring 27 points in a quarter or, in a half. It's just sad. This is who the Bears are, Shawn. It's sad. It was sad watching it last night. It's sad now.
It is, and the thing that you would think about, especially like I was talking with Lauren, after he goes down, Aaron Rodgers. After Aaron Rodgers goes down and scores on the opening drive, take the wind out of their sails. Take the wind out of their sails. Okay. Now you need a ball control drive. You got to come away with at least a field goal to combat that. Obviously, ideally, a touchdown to answer, but at least a field goal. Run the ball against this team. Run the ball against this team. Run the God-blessed ball against this team. Take the win. Don't put it all on Justin Fields. Justin Fields isn't ready yet to take over a game. I believe he will be next year and definitely in 2023. But right now, he's not ready. So what do? You put it on the backs of your offensive linemen. You have some young offensive linemen. Well, good. How do you get them confidence? You run the God-blessed ball. It's not difficult. And this is the problem with Nagy and his ego. Okay, if Bill Lazor's calling the plays, fine. I feel that Matt Nagy has far too much influence on these play calls. Okay, and again, like Lauren said, like you have to listen to your supervisor, your superior. They should have run that ball a lot more, taken the wind out of the sails, taken the clock, or run the clock, use the clock to their advantage, and not give him as many times on the field. I'm talking not give Aaron Rodgers. Just a poor thing. And, when he's like, I'm having fun, he wanted to continue to do that in the first half. Well, guess what? I don't know if you know this, Matt Nagy. Teams make adjustments in the second half or at halftime before the second half. Okay, something you don't do. Okay, teams make adjustments, and that's where they got us. And it was just unfortunate, that, as I said, I enjoyed the 30 minutes. I was present for the 30 minutes. I loved it. But as soon as it happened, as soon as the whistle blew, and it was forecast. That last touchdown told you. That last touchdown to Devontae Adams' first touchdown of the game, that told you, like, oh, there's more of this in the second half. So I enjoyed about 27 minutes, 28 minutes, 26, 27 minutes of the first half. Because once he scored that touchdown, like, oh shit, it's starting already. And they get the ball to start the second half.
Yeah. You're looking at it as, look what the Packers did. As soon as they got that lead, bring AJ Dillon's ass in here. Bring a fullback. We have 2 tight ends out there. We're gonna run it. We're gonna run it right at Robert Quinn. We're gonna run it right at Tevin Jenkins or Bruce Irvin or whoever's on the right side. We're gonna run it right at them downhill, off tackle, and run your ass over until you can't handle it anymore. And that's exactly what they did. They inflicted their will in that second half. They knew it. You saw the tide turning. Everybody out there saw the tide turning, including myself, regardless of how happy you were or how
much fun he was having in the first half.
Yeah, how much fun you were having in the first half. Because there was some crazy, wild stuff the Bears are doing. You're thinking, hey, man, that would be awesome for an upset. But the reality is the Packers are who you want to be. Point blank. Their franchise is exactly where you want to be. Point blank, period. They're up 7 games. They came back from damn near 40 games down, 50 games down in the all-time series. There's a problem at Hallis Hall, and it needs to be fixed. And the problem is just complacency, man. You know it, Shawn. The problem is complacency. So the problem is we're happy with what goes on because we get paid regardless of if we win. We could march out our one title. We could go ahead and march up all the 85 Bears in wheelchairs that we want, and we'll still live off of that. And it's a joke. It's a joke right now. Even the 06 is approaching 20 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. 06 is approaching 15, 20 years now. Think of it like that.
Well, listen, we've got to take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk Bulls basketball with our guy Darnell Mayberry from The Athletic. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Bulls talk up next right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the SportsZone Chicago.
A.J. Dillon, the hammers, the lone setback. Rodgers under center, looks, throws, slant, right side. Devontae for the dagger. Touchdown. They beat Jalen Johnson on a slant to the right side of the end zone.
The call on the Packers Radio Network, 45-30, the final over the Bears on Sunday. Green Bay improves to 10-3. The Bears drop to 4-9. Rumors swirling that head coach Matt Nagy's time with the team is just about done. Ohio State head coach Ryan Day, a rumored replacement. Chicago quarterback Justin Fields was picked off twice. He was 18 of 33 passing for 224 yards and 2 touchdowns. NBA tomorrow night, the Bulls play host to the Pistons. Chicago's lost 2 straight. The Pistons have lost 12 in a row. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the SportsZone Chicago.
Shop 40 to 70% off almost everything at Gap Factory and GapFactory.com. This week only. Plus, new deals on outerwear and sweats. Save through December 15th at Gap Factory and GapFactory.com.
Do you think it's okay to drive stoned? The truth is your reaction times slow way down when you're high. You not only put yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Stop kidding yourself. If you've been using marijuana in any form, do not get behind the wheel. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. Paid for by NHTSA.
Fever is a potential sign of COVID or the flu, and the Exergen temporal scanner thermometer has been proven accurate with more than 100 clinical studies. Be vigilant and seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Be accurate with Exergen. Exergen temporal scanners, available at Walmart and other fine retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com. That's EXERGEN.com. Exergen is changing the way the world takes temperature.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago in this House Music Monday edition. Tough. You know, I was not expecting the Bears to be this competitive. I was not expecting them to win. Let's get that straight. I was not expecting them to win, but I was not expecting them to be up ahead at halftime. So, you know, I don't know. I think that it was a pleasant 27 minutes, okay, for them. But I think they fell back to who they were. I think, Ivan, you put it perfectly. The Packers are who the Bears want to be. All right, you have a great quarterback. You have a number one receiver. You got to get a great running game. And your defense is good enough. So, yeah. We're going to switch gears. We're waiting for our guy to hop on. This Bulls scenario is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. Okay. I was going to say 9. Okay, but earlier, right as we started the show, okay, the 10th Bull, Alizé Johnson, okay, gets put into the NBA's health and safety protocol for catching COVID. And I know some people, it might have turned some people off, about, what I think, but I don't care. I'm going to tell you what I think. I think it's a conspiracy. I just think that there's, they want certain players. And here's why I'll tell you. When I was in Italy, all right, I was playing football in Italy after college. Literally 2 weeks after graduation, I was out there. And then they brought me back for the next season. Okay, my time was cut short in Italy. Keep this. We had the number one offense. We had the backup court. So Italy, they have a national team that would travel to play Germany, France, okay, all this. So Italian national team, Spain, all these guys. There's like a European Bowl or whatever. Okay, we had a lot of players on that national team. We had the second string quarterback. We had the number one wide receiver. We had two linemen who played on the national team, starting linebacker, and the safety. Yeah. So we were good. Okay. And then you had me in the mix, and I was really good. I was definitely in my best shape of my life. I was 220 pounds. Obviously I worked out going into this, when I went back in 94. So I'm in great shape. 220 pounds, still running like about a 4.5, benching 3 and chains, hand cleaning 300, squatting 500-600 pounds. We're rolling. We are rolling. And the league, what they do is they test their national players throughout the year. So we're rolling over teams. When I say rolling, we're putting up 35 points a game minimum. 35 points a game. Okay. And what happened, so they drug tested the national players on the various teams throughout the league. If you get suspended, if you were caught with steroids, you were suspended for 3 seasons, I think, 3 years. So we're about halfway, almost 3/4 of the way through the season, and we're rolling. I think we have 1 loss, and we are rolling. I'm the leading rusher in Italy at the time. Our quarterback is just dope. Receivers killing people. Okay. We didn't play Rome. We played them the year before in the playoffs, and we lost. But what happened is they wanted either the team from Milan or the team from Rome to win. So what they did is they switched samples. So one of our offensive guard, he was like 6'2", 6'3". Back then, 260 pounds was big for offensive linemen. He was 260 pounds, and he was cut. I mean, like a bodybuilder, ripped to shreds. So he was slender, but he was just jacked. Okay. Our quarterback was like 6'3", 6'4", 185. I don't even think to do, say 200 pounds, just under 200 pounds. Okay. Not a cut in his body. Okay. They switched samples. They switched the samples. If those of you know what I'm talking about, I thought that's funny. They switched the samples. They give you Pervactin or whatever from the fugitive. And our quarterback, they said our quarterback was taking steroids, suspending him for 3 years. Okay. The weeks leading up to that, my coach was looking at the waiver wire, and he was like, man, he goes, why is this team getting a quarterback? Now they have 3 quarterbacks. This guy's pretty good. Why are they already have a backup quarterback? So there were 3 quarterbacks who were pretty serviceable. And in the weeks leading up to 2 or 3 weeks leading up to it, those 3 quarterbacks were taken. They weren't playing, but they were just taken. And my head coach was wondering why a team had 2 quarterbacks is going after a third quarterback when most teams didn't have three quarterbacks was the luxury, and teams didn't use it on that. Come to find out, when they switched samples, our quarterback got suspended for 3 years. We couldn't go get a backup quarterback worth a damn because the other 3 guys that were serviceable were picked up by other teams. True story. So when people talk about they don't believe conspiracy theories, I'm sorry, I lived one. Okay, I lived one, and so it was tough. So I've seen it firsthand. Okay, how you do things to affect the league, and remember, it's all about money. Okay, I was in Bologna. Okay, they're in Rome and Milan. Rome, pretty big city. Had a good following. We went down to play them the year before in the playoffs when I had just come over. Good crowd down there in Rome. All right. So I've seen it firsthand. So when people say you're crazy and this, like I'm telling you guys, I need to write a book. I need to write a book on the craziness that I've experienced. Just that and a whole bunch of other stuff. So when I say that I believe this is a conspiracy theory against the Bulls, I truly believe it, because this Bulls team is so much better. How many of you, and just put it in the chat box, first of all, do me a favor. I got a shitload of people watching. Do me a favor, just put a fire in the chat box if you're enjoying the show. Just a quick fire. You know the little emoji. Put a fire in the chat box if you're enjoying the show. All right? Do me that favor. Do me that solid, would you? Just let me know that you're engaged in the show. Just do me a solid. Put the little fire emoji. A couple of fire emojis in the chat. All right. So this is why I believe it's a conspiracy theory, because how many of you, thanks Hassam, how many of you thought the Bulls would be this good? The factor one, thank you. How many of you thought the Bulls would be this good this soon? Not me. Junior, thanks, Papa. I thought they'd be good. Remember what I was saying? Like, oh man, they'd be probably a 4th pick. I mean, 4th or 5th seed, maybe a 3rd, maybe a 3 if things fall right. Remember that beginning of the season, of the Bulls season? Prior to the season, yeah, 4 or 5, maybe 3. It's not it. They're fighting for that number 1 spot. Cue up Ludacris. We're going for that number 1 spot. I think it was a year too early for the NBA. So my love for this team is at an all-time high. No, is a second all-time high because I'll never love this team the way I did back when Michael was there when I was in college, and then right after I got out of college because I got to talk so much shit to my New York friends. Let me tell you, if you have New York friends, if you're from New Yorkers, you talk like this. Like my roommate Troy, he's like Shawn. They always call me Shawn. Oh, they believe basketball was born in New York and pizza was born in New York. Like, look, we got better basketball. We damn sure got better pizza. Okay. And I got to talk so much shit to them those first 2 years. Okay. Because if you're not old enough, so I graduated on Memorial Day. We graduated Memorial Day in college. Okay. And so that's May. So if you remember, NBA finals are in June. So we're in the Eastern Conference Finals. Memorial Day is the last Monday in May. So at that particular point, the NBA playoffs were going on. And now, mind you, the Bulls had won in 92 and 91, and they won again in 92. So I got to come back, after my sophomore year, into my junior year, after my junior year, into my senior year, and talk shit to, my roommate Troy. Big shout out to Troy Dixon, who just joined Snapchat. My guy Monty, who's from Strong Island. My girl Liz, who's from Shaolin. She's from Staten Island. My guy Hales. All right, he was from Jersey across the river. And all my New York people, I got to talk shit. Okay. I didn't get to talk shit for the third one because in 1993, when I graduated, the New York Knicks had gone up 2-0 on the Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals. They had gone up 2-0. And we graduated when the Knicks were up 2-0. So now, like you guys, I know most of you can't fathom, okay, making long distance calls back then was a no-no. That was a long distance call was expensive. Okay. So I couldn't, so anytime I wanted to talk to my guy Troy, my roommate Troy, like it had to be, all right, you got 3 minutes, you got 5 minutes. Because it came on a bill and you're like, who you calling in New York? All right. The shit wasn't, oh, let me just call somebody, boop, 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 boop. I'll call someone and we're on the phone in New York in LA, in Miami, in Texas. And you didn't, some of you don't understand the thing of a long distance call. And then my mother paid the bill. Mama paid the bill. I said, boy, who the hell you talking to in New York? You better cut that shit short. So I didn't get to talk to them and talk shit, okay, in 93. Because I'm not going to make a long distance call that my mother's got to pay for to talk shit. She'd be like, who are you talking to in New York? So I kind of got gypped for the third one. That was the time when my fandom for the Bulls, my love for the Bulls was at its highest. The D Rose was second, obviously. Hassem, yes. Calling cards, yes. But a calling card costs money. Calling card costs money. Yes. So it's funny that you mentioned that, Hassam. Hats off. That's a good call. I'm glad you knew. So you're obviously a little older, so you knew you know about those things. You get a calling card. So my cousin Shawn, big shout out to my cousin Shawn. He stole he was let's just say he fractured a law or two throughout his life. So he gave me a calling card that he stole or something. I don't even know. So I was able to call home for most of my college career. I think he gave it to me freshman year up until middle of my junior year. I was able to use this calling card. He gave me the number. I just had to punch it in, blah, 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 and never had to pay. I didn't have to pay long distance. My phone bill was super cheap. It was like $15, $20 that me and Troy split. The phone, except for his long distance calls, like I paid like $10 a month. Okay, for the phone. All right. I don't know if they sell calling cards. But that's hilarious. Hassam, that you're. So I didn't get to. So the Bulls teams in the 90s, definitely the Derrick Rose team. But now this team has my attention. They're vying for that number 2 spot. Okay? What they're doing, what Billy Donovan's doing with this team is amazing. Okay? And as I said it earlier with Joseph, I've said it on this show often, how well Billy Donovan puts things together. Okay? Constructs a team, and with the team he's given, the sum is greater than the parts. He's done that at Florida. He's done that at OKC. He's doing it here. Okay. OKC was tough. Sometimes you got to deal with egos. See, it was easier at Florida because you don't have egos. They're on scholarship, and you, the coach, the program, kind of control that and have that over their head. As a pro, it's difficult. And when you're coaching the pros, players are more valuable than the coach, and you know what I mean, because people come to see the players. But now that he's here in Chicago, he's got a team, a good mix of team of veterans who are at their peak or on the backside of their career, who are willing to leave their ego at the door, and youngsters who are on the rise and about to hit their prime, if they have, or maybe hitting their prime. Zach LaVine, okay, who want to win something. Who's Zach LaVine been here 8 years? The sucker's been in the league, dude. Crazy. What did he play, like a week at UCLA and then he came over? Something like that. So the combination of talent of older guys who still have a lot left in the tank, DeMar DeRozan, Vooch, who are trying to win one because their buddies won one, DeMar. Okay. And young guys and really young guys, Kobe White, Patrick Williams, Ayo Dosunmu. Okay. That's a good mix of guys wanting to win. Putting their ego aside, wanting to win. And Billy Donovan's taking this, and he's taking it to another level. He's taking it to another level. And for me, to see this team, look, being a former player and being a former coach, and then I coached basketball for a few years in high school basketball, okay? Seeing a team run well, and it doesn't have that's because I played coach basketball, but it doesn't matter. If you're a coach, you understand when a team is run well, when a team is coached well. Okay? Sometimes it's easy to see some of the obvious things if you haven't coached. As a fan, regular fan, it's easy to see. Okay? But there's certain subtleties, certain things that the average fan might not see in determining whether a team is well coached. Billy Donovan is a hell of a coach, and this Bulls team is well coached. Okay? One of the things you don't see stupid fouls. You don't see stupid flagrant fouls. You don't see guys getting kicked out of, getting teed up twice. Okay? Yeah, guys have passion. Guys have energy and emotion in playing this game, but they don't cross the line. It starts at the top. You ever see Billy Donovan get fired up? Not really. He's pretty calm, even keel, So that teams take on the identity of their leader. Okay? The identity of their leader. And when you do that, and you see Billy Donovan staying calm, cool, collected, and then your superstars, DeMar DeRozan, even Zach LaVine. Zach's a little younger, but DeMar DeRozan, you see him calm, cool, and collected. They don't get flustered. Okay? There's a very business-like approach to this team. Very business-like. And it doesn't stop them from having fun. Let's not get that twisted. They're not robots. They remind me of my Chicago Thunder team. When it's game time, Very businesslike. Once we got the game in hand, then we started joking around. We have fun, don't get me wrong. We'll talk shit during the game. Definitely party after the game. But very methodical and businesslike on the court. You know, Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are a phenomenal 1-2 punch, in my opinion. Then you throw in Vooch. And I'll tell you what, Vooch is going to watch, people. Watch how important Vooch is going to be in the playoffs. Watch. When playoff basketball slows down to a half-court game, watch how important this guy is going to be. How big of a contributor he is. Because Acme understands it's not running up and down the court in playoff basketball. It's half-court sets, and they need a half-court player. A big to be able to work it in the post, to rebound, to pull a big defender out so we can have guys slashing, a big guy who can facilitate. We got the guy. This whole COVID thing going on is really frustrating to me. Really frustrating to me. Okay, I need these guys to be able to get back as soon as possible. So they have to have 2 negative COVID tests in a 24-hour span. Okay, well, they need to start taking those tests like now. Like now. If this is what you allow LeBron James to do, then everybody else should have the same opportunities. Because you're delaying the inevitable. You are delaying the inevitable. Because it doesn't matter who Billy Donovan has, he's going to get them to play hard. And if we have a couple of signature wins against some teams on our schedule, guess what? The confidence level of those guys who may not get a lot of playing time is going to shoot through the roof. And when everyone comes back, you're only making our team stronger. Mark my words. Billy Donovan can go 10 deep. He's going to have to. He's going to have to go 11 deep because 10 guys are out. 10 guys are out. But he's going to have the ability to, like he did at Kentucky. I'm thinking Rick Pitino, like he did over at Florida. 5 in, 5 out. Kentucky used to do it. Kansas used to do it. You get so many blue chippers, 5 in, 5 out. Does anyone know what other teams in the NBA have been ravaged by this COVID shit like the Bulls have? 10 players and 2 broadcasters. 10 players and 2 broadcasters. Come on now. Something just isn't right.
It was, I think Shawn said it earlier. The NBA is 97% vaccinated. You know what I mean? Like, it's 97% vaccinated. You could still transfer the virus with the vaccine. The virus it's not a cure. That's what is I guess forgotten. It's not meant to be a cure. It was never meant to be a cure. It was just meant to, lessen the symptoms, so you don't have to go to the hospital. You don't have to, there's not 1,000 people rushing to the hospital right now trying to find a bed because they're so in pain, so sick. It's weird that a league with as high of a vaccine rating as them continues to get plagued with this. It's one thing if you have half. If it's 50-50, okay. But we're talking about less, 3%, maybe even less of the NBA that's not vaccinated. And then on top of that, you have them on such the ones that aren't vaccinated, you have them on such strict schedules on such strict. They have to be in a place here for this amount of time. They have to constantly be getting tested, constantly getting nose swabs. They have to be locked up, in their room away. They pretty much have to quarantine themselves during the season while they're with the team. So those, like, if you think about it, if they're following the rules, those people aren't really the ones going out and partying and doing stuff. It's the ones that are vaccinated that are just living their life, going about, and ended up contracting and passing around. I just don't think it's I don't think this is necessary anymore. I just don't think it's necessary. You've reached the goal, right? You wanted people vaccinated so you won't have this huge risk. These guys aren't falling out and dying. They're going to the hospital. They're just hanging around in their room. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just they're locked down wherever they are. It's just a weird situation that you have 10 guys on one team as that team is starting to hit their stride, right? As they're starting to hit their stride, it's around Christmas break. You're about to hit New Year's. Just a weird situation for the Bulls. I don't get why they're still doing the vaccine anymore, Shawn. Why they're still doing implementing these rules, Shawn. 97%. So if you have 100% and you're still contracting it, well then you're talking about another shutdown, Shawn. You know what I mean? You're talking about another shutdown on the horizon. In my eyes, I can see the league sending them right back to Disney World.
Yeah. I do. You know what? Yeah. Hold on. I just got it. He was in a meeting. Oh, wow. Little crazy. Was
it Darnell?
Yeah. He's like, I can come on now. I'm like, yeah, but I got it last 11:40, and we bumped Second City Sports last on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So, cool. Listen, what we're gonna do? We're gonna take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we're gonna bring in Second City Sports at 11:40. All right. So we'll talk about their show, what they have planned to talk about today. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the SportsZone Chicago.
A.J. Dillon, the Hammers, the lone setback. Rodgers under center, looks, throws, slant, right side. Devontae for the dagger. Touchdown. They beat Jalen Johnson on a slant to the right side of the end zone.
The call on the Packers Radio Network, 45-30, the final over the Bears on Sunday. Green Bay improves to 10-3. The Bears drop to 4-9. Rumors swirling that head coach Matt Nagy's time with the team is just about done. Ohio State head coach Ryan Day, a rumored replacement. Chicago quarterback Justin Fields was picked off twice. He was 18 of 33 passing for 224 yards and 2 touchdowns. NBA tomorrow night, the Bulls play host to the Pistons. Chicago's lost 2 straight. The Pistons have lost 12 in a row. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Shop 40 to 70% off almost everything at Gap Factory and GapFactory.com. This week only. Plus, new deals on outerwear and sweats. Save through December 15th at Gap Factory and GapFactory.com.
Do you think it's okay to drive stoned? The truth is your reaction times slow way down when you're high. You not only put yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Stop kidding yourself. If you've been using marijuana in any form, do not get behind the wheel. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. Paid for by NHTSA.
Fever is a potential sign of COVID or the flu, and the Exergen temporal scanner thermometer has been proven accurate with more than 100 clinical studies. Be vigilant and seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Be accurate with Exergen. Exergen temporal scanners, available at Walmart and other fine retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com. That's EXERGEN.com. Exergen is changing the way the world takes temperature.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. Man, it's been a phenomenal show for us. Joseph Phillips, obviously, in the first hour from 9 to 10 in the top of the morning segment. And then at 10 o'clock, we had Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast talking talking good stuff with us with Bear Talk. And you know what? It was it was frustrating yesterday. It was good for fun for a while, but I think all of us understood. I had a good idea that it wasn't going to last. It was only it was short lived for the first. I don't even say 30 minutes. It's the first, 25, 26 minutes. When they scored that last touchdown, it was with maybe 29 because I think it was under a minute left when they scored that touchdown. So, Lauren Cox joined us, and it was. I'll tell you what, it's tough. I'm not angry, frustrated. Yeah, definitely frustrated.
It's like high school out there.
And when you don't make it, can't. I wouldn't even say that. I can't even. High schools make adjustments. High schools make adjustments. High schools make adjustments. You don't. You don't make adjustments with what I forgot what his record was. They said I don't know if they said it yesterday, but last week when he comes off 7 or more days to prepare, or more than 10 days to prepare, his record's god awful. How does that happen? It tells me that you don't know how to prepare, how to make adjustments. It tells me that your football IQ is not very high. If you can't use 10 days or more to prepare for your next opponent and win and beat your next opponent with 10 days or more, it means you don't know how to prepare. You don't. You know, 0-4 coming out of the bye. And the first 2 games after a bye, he's 1-7. They just won this year when they played Detroit, who was winless at the time. Just won their first game recently. Hats off to the Detroit Lions for getting their first win of the season. You know what? Let's trade head coaches. You can have ours, Detroit, because Matt Nagy deserves to be with that franchise. We'll trade you for Dan Campbell.
Oh, no, that's not happening. That's not happening. That's not happening. Because Dan Campbell is an actual football coach. Dan Campbell actually motivates his players to play well beyond their skill level and their talent. That's what Dan Campbell does. That team is a bad team, and they're still fighting. They got their ass kicked this week, but they still fight for him, and that's like no doubt. You see how well they fight for him. You see how he controls that locker room, how well respected he is in that locker room and around Detroit. Like there's, I listened to some of the podcasts that they have, in around the league, Packers, Vikings. I listened to a lot of those podcasts. Detroit, it's hard to find a reason why Dan Campbell is bad for that team. It's just talent. You have to give him some time. You got to give him some talent. Give him about 3-4 years. Make sure it's his team, right, and not some team that he inherited. And then tell me about Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell is light years beyond the coach that Matt Nagy is.
I agree with you, Ivan. This dude, the way he has his team, ready to run through a brick wall for him, is amazing. The way he has his team fighting, the way he has his team believing, it's a situation where I think these guys truly believe, like, I need to win this play and this play only. Play's over. Okay, I need to win this play and this play only. When you have guys like that who will run through a brick wall for you, and I've been very fortunate to have a few coaches in my career that I would do that for, that I had that feeling for. You get a team with talent to start to believe and feel that way. Dan Campbell is a leader of men. He is a leader of men. And to bring someone like him or someone like him to this team with the talent that we have would put us in contention every year for the division title, which means a playoff berth. That's funny. That's funny, Ivan. Remember, kids, when the going gets tough, punt the football. That's funny.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt. That's how I felt in the Arizona game. That's how I felt. And honest to God, it quickly became the Arizona game. It quickly became Arizona all over again in that second half. The turnovers that they started 3 drives in a row in our territory. It was all of a sudden the Arizona game in the second half. Like just no balls, no anything, like no type of imagination. Your team is a bad football team, coach. This is your Super Bowl, coach. You have to beat the Green Bay Packers at all costs, and you chose to punt the football. Look, man, look, it's a crazy, 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 crazy concept to go ahead and, hey, man, maybe if we go for it, maybe if we pick this up and line up, our animal running back that we have, and we line up a bunch of big guys, maybe we could get this and keep this drive going. Maybe we could find a way to come back, and the motivation could swing back our way. Just silliness by Matt Nagy.
It really is. Yeah, Coach Terry, he wasn't my head coach, and Coach Terry was my coach for the Chicago Thunder. So after Junior and I played together on the Chargers, and he retired, and then after 04, I left the Chargers and I went to the Thunder. But even when I was with the Chargers and Coach Terry, we played Coach Terry's team. He was always the nicest guy. And I get it now, being older. Like I hated the Thunder. I hated him. I hated the Thunder. I just hated them. I just hated them. But he was a guy who just wanted good football, providing opportunities for other people, and enjoyed football. He was the owner of the Thunder, and would always compliment me and things like that. And I'm like, nah, you're shady. You're just trying to kiss my ass and butter me up for something. But as I got older, I'm like, oh wow, this dude is legit, is really worth it. And Coach Terry, for us, he did so many things for the Thunder organization that many people don't even know, just to keep the team fielded, and for us to win 2 national championships, should have been 3, 2 national championships, win a bowl game down in Florida, a couple of mid-state titles. Yeah, he was one of those guys who very rarely got loud. Okay. But he could inspire you and motivate you. He could inspire you and motivate you to, as Armando said, to run through a wall for him. And he wasn't even his head coach. So I know for me, playing for him, there were certain things he said to me that really got me fired up. And as I said, I've been fortunate enough to play for a couple of really just great coaches. Started with my grammar school coaches. Rest in peace, Coach Quinn. Okay. And then Coach Schaller, who's still with us. Those 2 guys were amazing. Okay. For us young men at that time, they were amazing. All right. Then in high school, I got to be coached by Coach Angston. Rest in peace. He was my freshman coach, and by the time I got to varsity, he was put back to varsity. All right. Then I got college. I get Mark Duffner. This dude was, in my first 3 years, 30 wins, 2 losses, and a tie. Okay. So let me tell you. And then Coach Terry, my guy in Italy as well. So I've been very fortunate to have some good coaches, and their ability to lead men is unparalleled, second to none. And it's, yeah, it's cool to have those type of men to lead you, because football is the alpha sport of all alpha sports. And to lead a group of football players, it takes a special man to lead a football team. Not everybody can do it. But I digress. Waiting for these guys to jump on with us and talk. So what are the odds? How many of you in the comment section, how many of you think Matt Nagy will be fired before the season ends, so that the Bears could take advantage of that new rule in the NFL where you can interview potential head coaching candidates the final 2 weeks of the season? And how many of you think that, nope, they're still going to be the same old Bears? They are not going to fire their head coach until the offseason. So now they lose the opportunity to talk to any potential head coaches that they would like to interview. Or how many of you think that, or who thinks the Bears aren't going to fire Matt Nagy at all? Just put it in a comment box. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to kind of go through them and see what you guys are thinking.
Bonus question. What's the record in the last month? 4 games left. You got Minnesota twice. You have the Seattle Seahawks, and you have the New York Giants. What do you think the record is?
All teams under 500. All teams under 500. Wouldn't it be perfect? This would be the perfect scenario for the Bears, or this would be so apropos. The Bears win all 4 games. The Bears win all 4 games, and Matt Nagy's our head coach again.
See, something happened. Something happened at the end there. Yeah.
We had a 5-game losing streak. He turned it around and had a 4-game winning streak. You're like, so now we're gonna go celebrate our 5-game losing streak like we celebrated the 6-game losing streak last year. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's hard to see them. The Giants game, maybe the Giants game, but they could easily be 0-4 at the end of this.
Easily. Hell
easily
yeah.
be 0-4 at the end of this, having another losing streak. Back-to-back extended losing streak, Shawn.
Dude, they could be 0. They could be 4-0 and 0-4, and everything in between. I see that. And then what are you gonna say? Oh, we stuck together when we had a 5-game and a 4-game losing streak. No, because it's 5 because you just won this one with 2 5-game losing streaks.
Yeah, remember when we beat the Lions and we beat the Giants? Remember that?
Oh man. So if we lose, wow. Let's see the schedule. If we lose to the final 4 games of this season, okay, the trust falls. If we lose the final 4 games of this season, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll have a 5 and a 6-game losing streak in this season. They got to win one, dude. They have to. They have to win one. Because right now, the Cardinals. Okay, 1, 2. Yeah. This is just insane. This is just insane. They would have a 5 and a 6-game losing streak. How do you come back? How do you spin that? I mean, you spun the 6-game losing streak on us last year. You spun it very well. How come you see him winning one of the Vikings? Here's why I don't see that. If Dalvin Cook does not get hurt, I don't see him winning.
Dalvin Cook's going to run our asses over.
If he's healthy, there's no way we're winning. No.
Did you see A.J. Dillon running us over? And I had mentioned it before, how the Packers went ahead and adjusted and did what you should be doing to teams. What do you think Dalvin Cook's going to do with that? The offensive line for the Vikings. Look, the Vikings, they are under 500 team, but the Vikings could be easily as good as the Green Bay Packers. I mean, record-wise, as good as the Green Bay Packers. They beat the Packers on a field goal, on a field goal by 3. But they beat the Packers. That team has a playoff potential. They have a quarterback that's playing really well. Kirk Cousins, as much crap as we give him, and as much crap as he's gotten in the past, he's having an all-world type of year for the Vikings right now.
Yeah, he is.
They're just on defense in certain situations. They just tend to get lax. They tend to make some mistakes, and they allow teams back into ball games. But if the Vikings are on fire, the Vikings could hang 45 points like we saw the Packers do against us. 48 points. The Vikings can put up 50 on your ass and run you over doing it. They can do that. Justin Jefferson is going to tear you apart in the secondary. That guy's he's easily getting ready to be probably the best receiver in the league. I mean, the things that he does, the way he plays, how physical he is, you're in for a rude awakening when you see the Vikings. It's not going to be a cakewalk for against the Minnesota Vikings whatsoever. You got to step up. I don't think this team has any type of fight left in them. But look, Look at the second half, Shawn. They faded hard.
So he was drafted out of LSU. Okay. He's a first rounder out of LSU, Justin Jefferson. Damn. So he had Justin. This is who I remember that now. I remember LSU had 3 stud receivers, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and then I can't remember the third one. With Joe Burrow. With Joe Burrow. Dude, that's insane. And then add Adam Thielen to that mix as well. I know Adam Thielen's getting up there, but his skills are still within the top quarter of receivers in the NFL. So you got Justin Jefferson taking over number 1, Adam Thielen taking over number 2, Dalvin Cook running that ball, coming out of the backfield. Yeah, I didn't realize Justin Jefferson was one of those 3 LSU receivers that were just. LSU had the best season in the history of college football that year. I think they beat 5 or 6 top 10 or top 20 teams when they played. I maybe say top 20. When they played, they, obviously they fell after LSU beat them. The team dropped to wherever. But when in the head-to-head matchup, I think they played 5 or 6 top 20 teams, and maybe even top 10. And they beat them all. And that season was magical with Joe Burrow and those guys. Holy sheesh. Well, there you go. Go get you a number 1 receiver. And you know what? I'm okay. So what do you do, Ivan? The draft. Don't worry about the head coach. Don't worry about the GMs. What do you want? First pick, second round, 2020. It'll be 2022 when the draft happens. But who do you want the Bears to grab, or what position do you want? Don't mean who, because we don't know. Some people are still going to be eligible. We don't know everybody who's eligible. Whatever. What position do you want them to go at after first with their second round pick in the upcoming draft?
First is going to be best position available, right? Best position available. There's a lot of positions on the football team that need to be filled. I'm looking, and I'm just going to give you I'll give you my 3 positions. First, a playmaking wide receiver, which in the second round you could probably find, but are you going to find that guy in the second round, right? That's kind of that's a caveat to drafting the wide receiver in the second round, in my opinion. Cornerback, you've seen how you need help at corner. You need secondary depth. You need secondary help. Wide receiver, I mentioned Michael Gallup. You could address things in the free agency that you don't necessarily need to address in the draft, and you could find answers there. I think you're going to have to play both sides of it. I think you're going to have to be very, very sharp on both sides as far as free agency and the draft is concerned. This year, it's a pivotal year, even without a number 1 draft pick. You have to hit on a guy. You have to hit on multiple guys. I feel like, and they have to be not world beaters, but they have to be contributors and contenders. Guys that are fighters. That's what you need. You need guys that maybe they got a bad rep because of a behavioral issue or some shit like that. But you need talent. You need to go ahead and find that talent. I'm going to go with either an elite corner, or not an elite corner, but a cornerback or a safety in the second or third round. And if not, if you could find an offensive lineman, maybe a center. Maybe if you draft the center in the second or third round, those are the 2 positions I'm looking at right now. I might end up changing my mind later, but as of right now, a receiver, if you can find a receiver in the draft, a playmaking receiver, offensive lineman, like a center position, or you're going to go ahead and draft somebody to help out that secondary. Those 3 positions are positions of must. Like those 3 positions right here, right now, as you're looking at it, they've been the most disappointing, right? Been the most disappointing. You brought in all these receivers talking about speed. A-Rob's going to be back. It's a contract year. He's got to play for this. Oh, Darnell Mooney, yada, yada, yada. Cole Kmet. All of those guys have been disappointments. Let's be honest. Yeah. All of them have been disappointments. So yeah, I'm looking at that center. Obviously, he's been a disappointment with Mustafa. That's why I had mentioned the offensive line being something that I would be looking at in the second round. And of course, secondary help, cornerback, number 2 cornerback, especially because I think Jalen Johnson he was locking down Devontae Adams. They had to move Devontae to the slot to get Devontae going.
Yeah.
They had to move Devontae around to get him going. Jalen Johnson was locking down Devontae Adams. He even drew an offensive passing on Devontae Adams early in the game before they started moving him around, trying to get him open. And that ended up being huge for them because he ended up getting that big touchdown on Crawford. He ended up taking off in the second half, getting another touchdown on Johnson. Even though Johnson got beat across, it was bad.
Did you see that? Did you see that move?
It was one-on-one. He got beat. I was like, you know what?
No. That move would have got a whole bunch of people.
It was sick. It was a nasty move. It was nasty. I was like, you know what? You did a solid job the rest of the time. The team, like, obviously the momentum. You know how you've played the game, Shawn. You've been on the wrong side of losses, just like I have. And at a certain point, you're playing the game, but your heart is like very, very faded. Like your heart is your chest is like, it's like you're playing. You're not going through the motions, but you're playing, and you know you just know the snowball is coming. You know that avalanche is coming down. You have no hope. It's kind of how I felt Jalen got. He got, but he did a quality job the rest of the beforehand. You got to find somebody in the secondary, safety especially as well, safety or cornerback.
No, I disagree with you. I don't think he was like that. I think you could tell by the way when he got beat. Like, that was a phenomenal move. That move was phenomenal. I mean, and here's the thing where I talk about coaching. Okay, the subtleties. If you watch that, okay, Jalen Johnson had an inside position. Okay, he had inside position, which is what you're supposed to do on the goal line. So and Devontae wants to get inside. So what do? You take an outside release, but you can't just take an outside release because they know if you're going to try and cross the face. So what does he do? Okay, he took 1 or 2 steps and he looked up. Okay, he looked up as if that ball's coming. So that's when Jalen Johnson went that way, and once he turned his hips, boom, planted his foot and came inside. That's why that touchdown was so easy. Those little nuances. I had a wide receiver, Todd Deskowski. We used to call him Jedi because this dude would get open, like the little nuances that he would have. This dude would be wide open all the freaking time. He wasn't our speed guy. He was the first down guy. He would have little moves, little head fakes, little subtleties, and his separation was huge. Our quarterback very rarely had to put it on the money for him or fit it into a tight window with him because his separation was top notch, one of the best I've ever seen ever at any level that I played. And that's the type of move that Devontae Green gave Jalen Johnson. And it's, you know what, you chalk it up to the game. That was a phenomenal move, and sometimes you got.
That's it. I mean, he got
paid too. Devontae Adams gets paid too.
Yeah, exactly. He gets paid too. And to be honest with you, the move was fade. It made Jalen Johnson think fade because it was boom. I'm pressing to the sidelines, and I'm thinking, everybody's thinking jump ball to Devontae. They're going to go 1-on-1. Let's see what happens. And it was nope. I'm going to go slant to Devontae Adams and pick up the touchdown. Great move. That's why Devontae Adams is probably the best in the league.
Yeah, we got to go, guys. 3 hours is come and gone. I want to thank Joseph Phillips. I want to thank Lauren Cox. I want to thank for calling in. Great show today, guys. I appreciate it. Definitely want to thank all you guys. Hassam, Cornelius, Armando, Luis Mejia, Vernon, Marshawn, all the guys who else? We had some new guys today. Rashad, let's not forget him. Rashad Kennedy, thank you very much. Southside Bear, as I'm going through all these. Oh, shit, I went too fast. James Rossetti, excuse me. James Rossetti, thank you very much for tuning in, guys. We love it. Patty Lara, thank you. You guys made it a phenomenal show. Coach Dre, what's up, Papa? Great stuff. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. And I'm trying not to forget anybody. I just don't want to, forget you. I want to appreciate. Just know that we appreciate the Factor One. We all appreciate it. So we're going to take a 45-hour break, and on the other side of the break, we'll see you on Wednesday. Same bat time, same bat channel, 9 a.m. to noon Central Standard Time. So for my guests, for Elliot Baez, our executive producer, for Clarence Council, our social media guy, for Maya Kaya, for my guy, Ivan Vargas, what's on later tonight?
No, what's up, cuz? Later tonight, the guy's going to be taking a break, but I will be on at about, we'll call it 5 o'clock. I'm going to be giving you my final thoughts on the Bears-Packers debacle yesterday.
Alrighty, so guys, I'm your boy, the Superback Shawn Sierra. We'll see you Wednesday, same bad time, same bad channel. Follow social media, follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we're at Sports Zone Shy, CHI at Sports Zone Shy. All right, folks, we out of here. Deuces.